Shadowland. They've got fire, they've got style, they make chaos look worthwhile. Partners in crime, heartbeats aligned, together they're one of a kind. They're the couple that slays together, storming the world, it's now or never. Back to back, through thick and thin, in the game of life they always win. Blazing trails, leaving legends behind. Love so fierce, it's one of a kind. We're the couple that slays together. Oh.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to The Couple That Slays Together. I'm Katie.
Hey, and I'm Brandon. Well, gosh, Katie, we made it. Today is our 1-year anniversary of the channel/podcast.
It didn't go exactly as we had calendared out, but as is life, and we adjusted, we pivoted, and we have given some great content, though.
Yes, we have. I gotta say, it has been a whirlwind of a year, like you just said. Definitely some major ups and downs. We had to get through your surgery and everything with
We were not
everything.
expecting 6 weeks on a neck brace.
That's correct. Me getting laid off from my job very unexpectedly at the beginning of this year, 2026.
Yeah.
Everything with redoing the studio, that was honestly on me. But, we win some, we lose some.
Mhm.
But you know what? I'm still really excited and happy that we did this.
Yeah.
It's been a joy to just be able to talk about the things that we love. I know I can be a little bit of a tyrant when doing the show, but, being the producer and everything, I have a little bit of a different art vision, I guess. And, I'm doing my best. So,
If any other couple is out there and they are contemplating doing a podcast/YouTube channel, I highly recommend it, but also realize you just need to have a little bit of patience with each other.
yeah,
Everyone has their own creative
visions.
vision, that's the word, vision or path that they foresee. But the beauty is that you come together and you help each other out with what that vision is, and we both add to it.
Yeah.
And even though 2025, we calendared everything out, we had it weekly, actually basically 2 episodes a week, because we were going to do interview and movie
For a couple weeks, yeah.
for a while, I felt like.
Yeah.
But it just didn't play out that way. But we still got a lot of horror
We did.
watched in the year of 2025.
Yes, we did. Especially in these last couple of weeks. We went through
Mhm.
probably a good 10 to 12, maybe even 20 that we missed throughout the year. We just wanted to get in some of the ones that we wanted to talk about, or I wanted to talk about. They were ones that we couldn't miss, I guess. But for a couple of you guys, if you were only just listening to us, we talked a little bit about it on our Annabelle unboxing doll that we put out a couple weeks ago. But if you're coming back, or if you're new to the channel, if this is your first time listening to us and you just want to kind of get a feel of the 2025 season, just to kind of catch you up on our lives, we did do a little bit, like I said, a renovation of the studio. The bookshelf that was over there is now in the middle. We moved all of the NECA figures and some of the Funko Pops up. Our good friends, Mike Davis, I came up with the concept, and Mike Davis, my best friend in the whole world, he engineered the little platform things that you see the NECAs and the Funkos that they're sitting on. And then our good buddy, Mark Enstrom, helped us print those. So thank you to both of you. We really appreciate you and helping us out, and your friendship, of course. You'll also notice that I left something else behind in 2025, my hair. I decided a year early to shave my head.
Not a year.
Well, less than a year before I turned 40. The goal was to go bald when I turned 40, but I just couldn't wait. I had a wild, no pun intended, a wild hair at my butt, and just decided to go for the shave. So,
Hey, get your head.
yeah, it's my head.
Luckily, I feel like Brayden has a good shaped head.
That's what I've been told.
I feel like some individuals, whether by choice or not, when they have hair loss,
Yep.
kind of find out, oh, my head is kind of misshapen there.
Yep.
But you do have a good. Now, I will say, I feel for his mom. You have a very solid cranium,
I do.
but it
They
looks
did.
nice.
They did have to use the forceps on me to get me out. So
That's what the problem is.
I just had to cook a little bit longer. as we said before, this is our 2025 horror in review. Think of this as like, if you're a comic book reader, think of this as like an annual. This is kind of outside a regular unboxing episode or a review episode or even an interview. This is something I would like to do once a year on our anniversary, if possible, if at all possible, if we keep going. And,
And it's helpful because there are certain, obviously, movies and films that we do have deep dives into, but there are some that I'm sorry, it just time constraints, life constraints
Yep.
can't necessarily happen.
Yep.
But maybe we did enjoy it or we did want to critique it. And so this gives us a chance, because obviously with like my surgery and recovery and things like
Yep.
that, we were able to watch films, but not necessarily critique and film.
And fully
So,
grade. Yep.
yeah. So this gives not only a recap of 2025 per se, but everything was made in 2025 and watched in 2025.
Well, let's take that back. Some things actually, and we could maybe talk about it. There were a couple that were made in like as early as 2023 that got delayed
Oh,
until
yeah.
release.
Yeah.
But you're on the right track. Yes,
Yeah.
and I'm trying not to
Mhm.
correct her as much as I am, but so just to give you a little bit of a rundown on how this episode's going to go, we are going to do our little game, our little would you rather game, and then
Which we haven't done in a while.
we
It's
have not.
exciting.
Yes. We're also going to so how we're gonna structure this is it's gonna be a little bit more of an abbreviated but more if you will. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of start off the appetizer, if you will. We're gonna talk a little bit about the horror television series that we watched. And then we are going to give you basically the films that we did not watch because we just couldn't hit all of them. We're just going to name those and kind of read through them.
And it's not that we never will, it's just we have not yet. And
Right.
we are not ones to have opinions based on someone else's opinion.
Yeah.
So we want to see and experience that firsthand on our own before we give any kind of critique.
Yep.
So
And then the way we're structuring this with the films is we're going to talk about the new films for 2025 and then go into the sequels. And then we're going to go into the remakes, reboots, or retellings. So 3 categories altogether. And then we will give you our final kind of favorites, best of, worst of, whatever. And when we're going through these, we are not going to give a huge plot description. We'll give you a short one.
Yep.
We'll say the cast members. We won't necessarily say their character names.
Yeah.
And then we'll basically just give you our grade. We might talk a little bit about how we felt about these films in between and just kind of just as a discussion. But yeah, we're going to go through several here. And
as usual, we really invite you guys to put in the comments your thoughts
Yep.
because opinions are like what's. We all have them.
Yep.
And some of them stink.
Yep.
So you may disagree with us, you may agree with us, but we invite you to politely and I would say professionally, but it doesn't have to be politely give your opinions, whether you agree or disagree or what your grades are. Or maybe there's one of the ones that we list that we didn't get to see
Yeah.
that you're like, guys, that one was, you have to.
Right.
We would love to hear from you in the comments.
And I can, if you like, I'll throw a link to this document. If you want to follow along and grade with us, you can print it out yourself or do it on your iPad or something. A little just kind of takeaway for you guys to be able to judge like we are in a good way. Critique, I should say. But before we get into that, Katie, why don't we play our little game that we usually do? Would you rather in horror?
If you have not heard this in our previous episodes, we did get this book on Amazon. And to give credit where credit is due, the author is Sophia Rivers. And it is 200 plus creepy decisions and scary questions, a terrifying game for teen and adults. So basically, when you open up randomly, you'll see that there's multiple questions on the page. And what we do is we don't know what we're going to ask. I'll ask a question, we'll both answer of which one we would rather, and then Brandon will ask, and then we'll both answer because neither one of us have heard these before. So,
and by the way, if you're new to this episode, if you're just tuning in right now for the first time, welcome. We're a human condition podcast, if you will. We don't discriminate against any race, sex, gender, anything like that. Everybody's welcome. And hey, Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, they don't discriminate when they kill, and we don't discriminate who listens to us.
I like to say we only judge the horror, not each other.
Right.
So interestingly, I opened this up randomly, and this one actually has a fear fact at the top. So I'm going to say that first. Right. So fear fact, if you were bitten by a Lone Star tick, you could develop alpha gal. It's alpha-gal, GAL, which can cause you to become allergic to red meat and dairy milk.
Mm.
It would make you an instant vegetarian.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Instant vegan, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. You can do milk either, I guess. Yeah. I would assume you couldn't do cheese because it's made from the dairy milk.
Right.
That would be sad. All right, so the one underneath it actually has to do with the fear fact, so I'm glad I read it. So would you rather get bitten by a tick that causes an irreversible allergy to one of your favorite foods, or I'm sorry, it just says to your favorite foods, so multiple,
Mm-hmm.
or risk getting a tick bite that causes neurological damage that eventually has you convinced you're a duck for the rest of your life?
I'm going to go neurological damage because I can still eat that stuff.
I was thinking I would rather be the duck because then I'm your problem, not mine.
Right. What was your answer?
Mine is to be the duck.
Okay.
Yeah, because then I'd be your problem.
Right.
It's just,
Yeah.
I would be the duck and I'd get to do whatever I wanted.
Speaking of neurological damage, you might be wondering, you might have seen me in the last couple episodes wearing these gloves. I promise I'm neither trying to be a douchebag nor a Kane Hodder copycat, because he wears the
Or
gloves.
the guy from, but I always forget his name on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, Casey Jones?
Yeah.
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 So what's happening with me is my little gift from the accident that we were in November 2024 came a little bit late. It came at about September of 2025. It was been determined with an EMG that I have carpal tunnel in both my left and my right hand, and I have cubital tunnel, which, by the way, if you don't know, carpal tunnel is these three fingers and this part of your ring finger, and then from this side of your ring finger over is cubital tunnel, and it goes to your elbow.
The things you learn as you get older and have more medical
Right.
problems.
So I have cubital tunnel in this hand and these two fingers. This is actually where it's the worst. But they tell me that I have worse carpal tunnel in my right hand, which I find very surprising. So normally I'm wearing two identical braces along with the compression gloves, but for the show and around
A little
home.
cumbersome.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say that as well. So here we go. Here's my question for you.
Okay.
Would you rather encounter a black hole that leads to a parallel universe where reality is radically different, or discover a wormhole that transports you to an alternate timeline where your existence has been entirely erased?
The first one. Because it says that reality is different. It doesn't say that it's worse.
Hmm. Yeah, but it's also a crapshoot on what you might get.
True. But the second option is that you definitely don't exist.
Right. But, and again, so which one? You pick the first one still?
I picked the first one still.
I might have to go the second one just because it's the land that I know and I can rebuild relationships.
Yeah, but if you show up and you're like, Mom, Dad, Mike,
True.
Mark, and they're like, who's this dude? I don't have nothing to do with them.
Yeah. But
what do you think, guys? Put it in the comments. What would you rather?
I will say, one, I feel like you can control and one you can't. If you encounter the black hole that leads to a parallel universe where reality is radically different, you might still have the same result as nobody knowing who you are.
Could.
Or
you could end up being Bill Gates, Elon Musk, have $1 billion.
Or a giant tremor.
Or you could wind up being married to Brandon Benfield.
That's a world you don't want to live in. All right, so let's get into this. So now, before we get into this our annual here, our 2025 horror and review, Katie and I have actually been going through our each other's TV shows.
It was a very unfair trade.
Well, it depends, and this is something I would love to hear about in the comments. We decided to trade show for show, but we didn't trade episode for episode. I come from the land of WB/CW shows that ran 22 episodes long in their seasons. Katie comes from premium television land, where the episodes are anywhere from 8 to 13 episodes per season. And so we traded Supernatural for True Blood.
And if you've seen both of them, or you know anything about them, one is way longer.
Yeah. True Blood is 80 episodes and Supernatural is 327. Now, I finished True Blood months ago. I'm excited to say that Katie has finally made it to the final season of Supernatural.
And I take flack for this, but I can't
Well,
get
hold on.
into it.
All right. Well, what I want to do is I want to do an episode right after you finish the finale on like just talk about as a mini-isode.
I'm gonna start going freedom.
But you've also heard us talk about other shows. Basically, and again, it's still an unfair trade. I have traded her Buffy and Angel of mine for her Outlander and Bridgerton.
Which one of those shows, Buffy, has more episodes than? Well, Outlander is. I think they're going to be doing their 8th season this year, but each season is like 8 episodes.
Yep. Well,
but some of them are longer. Some of them are an hour or two more, depending on if they're like a mid-season or anything like that. But yeah,
and some of their seasons are 13 to 16 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still think, even though I don't think you were the biggest fan of True Blood, you were kind of like intrigued on like what was going to come next and who was going to do what in a way. I'm going to be honest, and like I said, I take flack for this, and I'm living my truth. I'm not a CW person.
She's not.
I've never have been, and I don't know that I ever will, but I will say this. For me, Buffy has gotten better.
Yeah.
Angel, still crappy. It's what I put up with for him to watch Outlander and Bridgerton.
Yeah.
When it comes to Supernatural, Brandon thinks I'm pretty backward because I like the one-off.
She likes the filler ghost episodes.
I like the filler ghost episodes. I like when Dean is funny. When it has these super long arch stories of, I'll die for you, and now I'm resurrected, and now it's my turn to die for you, and now I'm resurrected. And then, I'm sorry, but the twisting of biblical stuff, it's not a morality thing necessarily for me. It's just an annoyance kind of for me.
Yeah.
Just simply where I'm like, okay, well, we're not going to, I don't know how to say it without maybe making someone angry, but
Here,
it doesn't have to be canon biblical at all. But if you're going to do that, don't go so far off into left field then, I feel like.
The way that I interpret Supernatural is one of two ways. One, and this isn't me putting you down.
No.
It's a fictional show, so I feel like it's okay that they do that with religious stuff, but also they take from my interpretation now, again, an apologetics specialist or whatever, or even a big theologian would say this, might disagree with me, but from my apologetic studies from back in college,
The deists.
it's a deism type of theology where God has basically created something and gone on to do something else is the basis of their theology.
I can hop on board on that all day long. I think what kind of throws me is humanizing so many of these characters that aren't supposed to be humanized, if that makes sense. And then I don't really like I say this, it has the same kind of cycle and arch through each that and Brandon knows it's my touch of the tism. When someone constantly repeats the same thing, like if the song is the same like chorus and that's all it is over and over and over again, or like watching The Boys, the one character constantly has to say the same word.
You can't. Carl Urban.
I don't mind that word, but there's other words in the English language where it's like after like the 50th time, I'm like, say something different.
But
anything different. So when it comes to Supernatural, I feel like it kind of presses that tism for me, where I'm like, we've seen this, you've done this. How many times can you skip? Similarly to Gilmore Girls, where it's like, how many times do we have to figure out that we just need to talk to each other and be honest with each other? We can go to a completely different storyline and do something different. But no, we're going to go back to, let's keep a secret from the people closest to us.
Yeah. I mean, that's a part of storytelling. You got to create an elongated problem to come up with a shorter solution to make it interesting.
Yeah. And I understand this too is, yes, we're rotating through shows, so it's not exactly binging. It's different for when you had to watch it week by week and wait for the next thing to happen. I feel like you can kind of see or pick up on some of the patterns more easily when it's more like a binge.
Yeah. And, I'm enjoying Outlander. Bridgerton's Bridgerton's good. I really didn't care for Queen Charlotte. It was
That's my
okay.
favorite.
Like you could have done Queen Charlotte in an episode though.
Like a movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Personally, I would have rather had seen Mother Bridgerton. I don't remember her name.
Violet.
Yeah, Violet Bridgerton. It would have been more beneficial, I felt like, to the series for her to see her origin story
With
more.
Edmund.
Yeah, as
Yeah.
opposed to Queen Charlotte and
I do wish they would do
Right.
that.
Yeah.
I do.
Or if they were going to do what they did with Queen Charlotte, I would have done like the Bridgerton stories or the Bridgerton Chronicles or something and done an episode each. So like
Yeah.
one episode's about Queen Charlotte and her backstory. And then another one is about, you said Violet was her name?
Yep.
Violet Bridgerton. And then another one about their dad or something.
They do a little bit. There's an age difference if you've not seen it. There's an age difference between Queen Charlotte, Lady Danbury, and then Violet. Violet is much younger. She's kind of like a preteen in Queen Charlotte. It's a prequel.
Yeah.
So I think it would be kind of hard unless they do like another Queen Charlotte where maybe it's further along in Queen Charlotte's marriage and Lady Danbury being a widow and then Violet meeting Edmund. I think that would be a cool
Yeah.
prequel to do.
Yeah.
But we are trying to I will give him credit. He has switched up the playlist so it's more fair.
Yeah.
But just time-wise, his shows take up more time.
Yeah.
But one show that we had on the list that we both absolutely loved, not necessarily horror related, but Landman.
Yep.
Landman was great. I think we both gave that an A+.
We watched Landman. Yep. We had Landman. We're doing Handmaid's Tale, which is kind of meh. And then, I mean, it's one of hers, so I kind of wanted to be fair. But then in the future here, we're going to be getting into the Bates Motel, and we're going to be getting
I'm excited
into
for that one for you.
Yep, we're gonna get back. We're gonna start back at From season 2 to finish up with that.
Yeah.
We got Yellow Jacket season 3, and
Yep.
just like that, season 3, we've got a bunch we haven't been
Yeah.
through yet that we're just kind of on a rotation through.
So with that said, we don't do just films.
Yeah.
We are going through shows, but they're just not always horror related, so they don't make it to the show.
Yeah.
So with that said, we've got a playlist going, marriage problems, et cetera, where we are experiencing and enjoying each other's shows for what they are. So it's not always filmed, but because it's not always horror, we're not gonna stay on that topic here. We want to move on to our list from 2025. And like Brandon said, we're going to be starting off here with our 2025 Horror and Review TV series.
Yep.
And we're doing something a little bit different here. I'm going to start us out, and we're going to go back and forth, and we're going to kind of give you that brief overview, some of the actors that are in it, and then we're going to give our full review.
Yes.
So sometimes we go back and forth between I give it an A, you give it an A, but instead we're going to do it all what my review is or all what Brandon's review is before we move on to the next.
Now, to start us off, before Katie gets into Alien Earth, just so you know, we wanted to talk about 4 different horror TV series. The first one was Wednesday season 2. We did not watch that yet. It is on the docket to watch this year. We just haven't gotten to it yet. So, Katie, why don't you start us off?
All right. So first up here, and again, if you have followed the link that Brandon is going to supply, you can follow along right with us. But the first is Alien Earth. So our stars are Sydney Chandler, Alex Lothar, Samuel, is it Blelkin?
Blinken?
Blank, is it, well, it's an E, but okay, Blanken. Babu,
I think it's Babu.
Cisse, and Timothy Oliphant. If I am pronouncing any of those wrong, please forgive me. Now our brief description is when a mysterious space vessel crash lands on Earth, a young woman and a ragtag group of tactical soldiers make a fateful discovery that puts them face to face with the planet's greatest threats. So, Brandon, let's start us off. What did you give Alien Earth?
You know, it was a rough one. I'm not going to lie to you. And I've just got to say before I get into this, I cannot believe that Rotten Tomatoes gave this the golden egg for all of television for 2025. It makes no sense to me whatsoever.
They robbed other shows.
And it's just like, I don't like people that were saying it was awesome. I've got to ask how, why. I was bored through the whole thing.
Yeah.
So with that said, I'm sorry. I gave it a letter grade of a D-. I gave it a number rating of a 3 out of 10. I gave it a star rating of 1 out of 5 stars. And honestly, I'll watch the next seasons just to kind of keep going and see if it gets better. But as far as repeating the first season, I don't ever plan on watching it again for the replay value. How about you?
So I gave it a letter grade. It's a little bit higher. I gave it a D plus.
Hmm.
I gave it a number rating of a 5. I gave it a rating by stars of a 2.
Well,
And I did say I would never watch again.
yeah.
I do want to say I gave it a little bit more credit. There was, how many episodes were there?
8.
So was it the 7th episode?
Yes.
It picked up a little bit in the 7th episode. To me, that gave it a little bit of an uptick.
Yep.
It still didn't end well.
Right.
It didn't. Unless you are truly a mega fan of the Alien franchise, then okay. If you're not a mega fan, still check it out.
Yeah.
But no.
I'll agree with you. The 7th episode is where you got the fight on the beach with the xenomorph. Episode 8 had a couple cool moments, but the ending was just like, what the fuck was that?
There's episodes where the alien doesn't even show up.
Right.
And I'm sorry, to me it was really confusing. Spoiler alerts here. It was really quite confusing kind of having different kinds of like breeds going about. It didn't tickle my fancy.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out if that eyeball guy was like a good guy or a bad guy, because I mean he took the doctor's body off of the beach at the end of the episode, either 7 or 8, I can't remember, but they never showed what happened to him. So that he's obviously going to be back in season 2.
Yeah, and there were points where I kind of felt like I'm not against gore. If you've seen any of the episodes, I don't mind gore, but I don't like senseless gore.
Yeah,
and I feel like there were just using gore for shock value. Doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on.
Yeah, so our next TV show that we watched was, of course, none other than Stranger Things 5. Has an ensemble cast with Millie Bobby Brown, David Harbour, Winona Ryder, Finn Wolfhard, Maya Hawke, and Noah Schnapp, along with the rest of the boys. In this season, the Hawkins crew, they're facing their ultimate battle against Vecna in the fall of 1987, with the Upside Down bleeding into reality via massive rifts, forcing a military quarantine and a desperate united fight as the anniversary of Will's disappearance looms, requiring everyone together for a final showdown to save the world from the monstrous darkness. Katie, let's start this off. What did you give this whole? What did you rank this season?
Yeah, so starting off with my letter grade, I gave this a C plus. Okay. When it comes to our ranking by number, I gave this a 6. Okay. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. And I did the replay value ranking as being unlikely.
Okay.
I did kind of feel like I may rewatch at some point. It may tickle my fancy to do so, but again, it didn't end on a good. If I can think of a million different ways to have a better ending, I don't think it was a good ending.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, we agreed somewhat. So I also gave this a C plus for a letter grade. I gave this a number rating of 7.5 out of 10. I gave this a star rating of 3 out of 5 stars. And I said that I was neutral on whether or not I'd watch this again. I think that I would watch it again in a rewatch of the entire series, or if there's episodes that I liked, or if there's clips that I wanted to see again. But yeah, I mean, it was a mess. I mean, the pacing of the season was just like, like, it was so all over the place. The final battle felt like we almost got screwed, like we did with the legendary battle in Power Rangers at the 20th anniversary. It was like huge build up, maybe 3-4 minutes of fight, and then more wrap up. It's like, what the hell?
I think it's also comparative to the finale of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
For me, and not trying to nitpick Stranger Things here, but I jokingly say this, but I think it's true. If anyone says that they fully understand the Stranger Things universe, they're lying. I felt like every episode was changing kind of like changing doctrine here. And it's kind of like, okay, now wait, what is the Upside Down? Okay, wait, who was Vecna? Okay, wait, who's the actual bad guy? I don't like that.
Yeah.
One. And if you're going to do that in a final season, make it make sense and do it once and make it like a big twist. Not this like wait, hold on. Let me try to wrap my brain. And personally, I'm on TikTok. I know you're not. But TikTok went wild with all these different conspiracy theories and all these things and these plot holes, these gaping plot holes.
Yeah.
Um, it kind of just took it away
Yeah.
for me.
Well, I'll say this because, yes, there were a lot of. Here's what I do not like the conspiracy theory dive because it puts expectations in my brain that I am never going to see. I've made this
Right.
mistake. I made this mistake with
We're
X
getting
Men.
another episode.
Right. I made this mistake with X Men: The Last Stand. I watched that trailer over and over and over and over and over again, and then I sat in that Steak and Shake after that movie back in '06, and I was so pissed off of that movie that I swore off Marvel for a long time. I learned since then not to put those thoughts in my head because,
Right.
it's like everybody's like, oh man, yeah, well, this actually what it could be, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, I don't care. Like
Yeah.
I'm in those Scream Ghostface groups, the Woodsboro film, whatever, and it's
Mhm.
like every fucking day there's like a new theory of who the killer is in Scream 7. I can't tell you how many times I see the comparison of McKenna Grace wearing a blue plaid skirt
Yeah.
with all the, and like I don't care.
With
Like
the
I
flannel.
want to go. Like this is why I'm like we have to go Thursday the 26th, the
Right.
earliest screening because I don't want to get it spoiled. Like we actually, I'll tell you what, I know I'm kind of rambling here, but we literally have tickets for AMC Screen Unseen on February 2nd because I'm hoping that it's Scream 7 so we can get it way early and be able to talk about it.
Or it could be Mortuaries.
It could be, or yeah,
Which I am ecstatic about.
I don't
The
know if it,
trailer looks so good.
yeah, I don't know if they will be though because I was actually looking tonight and there is the AMC Unseen tonight is for a movie that comes out on February 13th. So
We'll have to see.
yeah. But anyway, all right. So
Knowing our luck, we're gonna sit down and it's gonna like start playing some kind of rom-com that we haven't even heard of.
it did say it was an R-rated horror movie, so hopefully
Oh, it did?
yes.
Okay, well, hey.
I think it's either going to be Dracula or Strangers Chapter 3, but I would love it if it was Scream 7. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying.
It is. You all will hear it across the nation when he's like,
I'll have my phone recording and I'll be like,
speaking of phone recording, can I say something really quick?
yeah.
We went and saw Night Patrol
Yep.
in theater. Never in my life. He's going to be he's almost 40. I'm going to be 39 in 2 days. Never in my life have I seen this in person. There was a couple that was 2 rows in front of us, and we were like the only ones in the theater. There was a couple people further back. Just full on phone out recording.
Light, bright, and everything. I literally leaned forward and I said,
No shame.
yeah, I leaned forward and I said, hey, bro, we're trying to enjoy the movie, man. Can you stop? And he kept going. The girlfriend kept going.
Man, and he just like brought it down to like closer to his chest.
Yeah.
Kept on recording.
So then there was a part in the movie where like Dermot's talking to Justin Long in his head. He's like, "Arr, arr, arr, arr." It was like really loud. I'm like, all right, I'm taking the shot. I literally put my jacket over my face and I called out to the front desk saying, hey, there's 2 people in here recording. It's very distracting. Please get them out of here.
Yeah.
And the girl came in and told them to put their phones away, but then they left. So they were obviously those cam people.
Yeah, it still didn't make full sense to me to try to record that film.
Yeah.
1, and then 2, it did kind of seem like she was like the female of the 2 were like recording and then turning it off, recording and turning it off, and I was like, are you trying to like catch a specific scene or
Right.
not? It baffled me.
Yep.
And I know that people do that, but I just had never seen that in person right in front of me.
Yep.
But moving on, this is going to be our final TV series of 2025 that we will review. And it is going to be It's Welcome to Derry.
Yes.
If you don't already know, the main star is Bill Skarsgård. Then we've got, is it Johan?
I want to, yeah.
Jovan?
Jovan. I think.
Adipo, Chris Chalk, Clara Stack, and Matilda Lawler.
Yes.
Our review here is in 1962, a couple with their son moved to Derry, Maine just as a young boy disappears. With their arrival, very bad things with their arrival, very bad things begin to happen in the town. This starts the first of 3 major events in the saga of Pennywise throughout time, starting with the Black Spot. If you don't already know, this is prequels to the It movies.
Yep.
And there will be 2 more seasons, at least minimum, that we know of.
Yep. In the book, they are considered like intermissions. They tell little stories of the past, and that's what they're doing those seasons on. So.
All right. So then what was your grades?
So for this season 1 of It, Welcome to Derry, for letter grade, I gave this an A minus. I gave this a 9 for a ranking of 1 through 10. I gave this a star rating of 4 out of 5 stars, and I put that absolutely will watch this repeatedly. I've already watched the finale probably 3 times. Yeah, this show, the pacing, where the pacing of Stranger Things was like, boring, 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 action, boring, boring,
Mhm.
boring, action. But it Welcome to Derry took a little while, like a little bit, a few episodes to kind of start. It was like a
Yeah,
very slow, but it was
absolutely.
character building, so it made sense in the beginning, and then it just like took
Mhm.
off into insanity.
Mhm.
And it was so good.
The first couple of episodes, I remember going, "What does this have to do?"
Yeah.
Yeah, it's set in Derry, but where, what, what is going on?
I remember you specifically. You about bottomed out, and
I
you were like,
did.
"I don't want to watch this,"
I was
and I'm like,
this
"Let's just give it."
this might just be something you watch on your own.
Yeah, I'm like, "Let's just give it a little bit longer," and then sure enough, 4 is when they kind of really start talking about like the origins of Pennywise's star and all this stuff, and then he shows up in the 5th episode. And it's just batshit from there.
Yep.
So, Katie, what do you give this for a ranking?
So I think we're pretty close with each other here. So my letter grade was an A minus.
Mhm.
Uh, my rating by number was an 8.
Okay.
My rating by stars was a 4,
Yeah.
and my rewatchability was likely.
Okay.
I did go a little bit lower than you on the rating by number, even though we had the same letter grade, just simply because I felt like it did take a hot minute to get there. And I do remember in the first couple of episodes having that same kind of reaction where I was like, "You're just being gross to be gross."
Yeah.
Gross doesn't necessarily mean scary. Scary doesn't necessarily mean gross. Sometimes it works well, but you don't need to be gross
Yep.
just for the sake of it. But like you said, it picked up from there.
Yeah. Well, and that's a big reason why I gave it an A minus too, and not just a straight A plus, because it did take a little bit, and I do understand things take a little bit of time to get going, but that took just a little bit too long. But again, it didn't like the overall result. It didn't
Mhm.
screw that up at all.
Right, right.
Yeah. Well, now we're going to get into our next category, which was simply the films that we did not watch. We wanted to get around to some of these. I really wanted to get around to, but
Yeah.
we just kind of had to really pick and choose. And really, we kind of beat the dead horse with trying to catch up on more. And we probably could have added more to this list, and maybe even swap some out. But so Katie, why don't you go ahead and read that first row there, and just kind of give us the ones. Start us off with the ones that we did not watch this year.
All right. So we did not get around to seeing Ash, the astronaut, East of War, the carpenter's son.
Which that's one I would really like to pick up and watch.
That's the one about Jesus,
Yeah,
right?
and
Yeah.
like it's supposed to be like the demons that yeah.
Yeah. Again, none of these are ones that we don't want to watch. It's just we have not yet. Next is Delivery Run,
Mhm.
Echo Valley.
And I know that's one we need to watch too, because that's Julianne Moore and the Sydney Sweeney, I believe.
Mm.
So I know that was one you wanted to see at one point.
Hell House LLC Lineage,
It's a sequel.
and The Home.
Yep. The Pete Davidson horror movie that we just again didn't get around to watching.
Mhm.
Our next little group here is Influencers, sequel to 2023's Influencer. It Ends. Heard that was fairly decent.
Is
It
that in the same world of It Follows?
No, so the sequel to It Follows is going to be called They Follow.
That's right.
Yeah. So, but I've heard this one's decent.
Mm.
It Feeds, The Jolly Monkey, Kombucha, The Last Cabin, Leprechaun: The Beginning. That one was done by the guys that did Stream and Screamboat,
Mm.
and The Long Game. All right, Katie, what we got next?
Next row here is Mouseboat Massacre,
Yeah.
which is the sequel to the Steamboat.
No,
Dreamboat?
that's just another one that another group of another production company made, that that the IP of Steamboat Willie went what is it, like open range or whatever, copyright free basically.
Spoiler alert for future in this episode. I'm not a big fan of these.
Yeah.
Next is Night of the Reaper.
That's a Shudder original that I still would love to watch as well.
All right, The Offing, Opus. Now I don't know if I ever pronounced this right. Is this Osiris?
Yep.
Aha. Osiris. The Other. Predator Killer of Killers.
Now, I did watch a couple segments of this. This is kind of like a VHS. It was a cartoon of the Yautja. Like, it was a different predator per thing, and it just wasn't good.
All right. The Rule of Jenny Pin.
Yep.
I don't know if I've heard of that one.
That's the one with John Lithgow that we need to watch still. I think that was also a Shudder original. And then our final group of movies that we just didn't get around to watching was Shelby Oaks, Strange Harvest, The Ugly Stepsister, which we've...
I really want to see that.
Yes, that was nominated for an Academy Award. We need to watch that. We did not watch the Ice Cube War of the Worlds, which was apparently the lowest rated film of all time on Rotten Tomatoes. The Woman in Cabin 10. And finally, one that did get a lot of attention when it was in the theater, The Woman in the Yard. We did not get around to watching that. So, all right. Well, now, Katie, we're going to get into our new horror films. These are ones that are brand new, didn't have a franchise yet, not a sequel. These were literally brand new to either the big screen or to streaming this year. So, Katie, why don't you...
No.
It is me. Yep, okay. So,
Brandon, why don't you?
Yeah, why don't I? All right, so the first new film that we saw this year was Bone Lake, which stars Alex Rowe, Maddie Hansen, Marco Pigossi, and Andra Nachita.
Might be Adra.
Adra? I said Andra. I just copied the name.
Yeah, could be.
A couple's vacation at a secluded estate is upended when they are forced to share the mansion with a mysterious couple. A dream getaway spirals into a nightmare maze of sex, lies, and manipulation, triggering a battle for survival. Now, Katie, where do you rate this one?
All right, so I'm going to be decisive here because I kind of teetered back and forth on these. But I'm going to lock it in here. My rating by grade, solid C.
Okay.
My rating by number, 7. My rating by stars is 3 out of 5. And my replay value is neutral.
Okay.
I will say this, I felt like the buildup was intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the best, what is it, second act, third act? It was...
The turn.
Yeah. It was really good at building the suspense. It wasn't really good at wrapping up the ending.
Sure.
What about you, Brennan?
This one we're kind of similar on as well. So I gave this a letter grade of a C plus because I didn't hate it. Like it was good. I gave this a 7 ranking. I gave it for a number ranking. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. And I said I was more unlikely to watch it again, but it might be one that if someone comes over and like, hey, I haven't seen that yet, I wouldn't hate having it on.
Yeah.
I did think that the guy, whoever it was actually his house, like the killer guy, really, really good at being a flip-floppy psycho, if you will.
Yeah.
So.
Next up, we have Bring Her Back.
Yes.
Which stars Billy, is it Barrett?
Yep.
Sally Hawkins, Jonah Wren Phillips, and Misha Haywood. This is a very short description here. A brother and sister uncover a terrifying ritual at the secluded home of their new foster mother. That is a very short wrap-up of it. Brandon, what was your grade?
Well, this might surprise you, and it surprises me. I enjoyed this movie a lot, actually. I gave this an A-. Gave it a 9. I gave it 4 stars, and I said I'm neutral about replaying and watching it again.
Ladies and gentlemen, this may be the first time in this entire review so far we are completely opposite.
Yeah, I mean, the weird thing is that for me, this is supposedly set in the Talk to Me universe, which I thought that movie sucked ass.
Awful.
This one, I don't know, man. It got me. Like, it creeped me out. Like, the kid chewing on the knife was gross, but you don't really see that a lot in horror, which I thought was neat. I mean, I thought it was all right. What do you got?
Once again, it just playing on the gross doesn't necessarily mean scary.
Yeah.
It turned me off. Interesting concept, but I feel like it's been kind of done. It wasn't really like a revolutionary concept. So my letter grade here was a D.
Oh.
My rating by number was a 5.
Okay.
My rating by stars was a 2.
Yeah.
And my replay value was never watching again.
Okay.
I, once again, just kind of felt like things could be done differently and better. So, yeah. That's what I felt.
I will say, I did feel like when we were watching it, we felt like this should have been more in the weapons universe than the talking to you.
Yeah.
Even the chick, the foster mom who was doing all this,
Yes.
was very reminiscent of
Of
Gladys.
Gladys. Yep.
So
Yep.
that's interesting. So
Yes. I think what kind of just threw me was the gross out stuff to just be gross. You can argue that weapons had some grossness to it, but to me there was more of a logical reasoning behind it. Like when the chewing on the knife and things like that. The whole premise of this is that the foster mother has lost a child and is trying to bring her back and is not doing a good job about it and doing like magic spells. Why this child decides to start chewing on a knife that really doesn't have anything like what could have caused that, it took away from me.
I think it was the spell she had on, but I get
That
that.
she did something wrong or I to each their own.
Yeah. All right. So our next movie on the list is Clown in a Cornfield, starring Katie Douglas, Aaron Abrams, Carson McCormick, and Kevin Durant among the again all-star cast. Will Sasso as well. A fading Midwestern town in which Frendo the Clown, a symbol of bygone success, reemerges as a terrifying scourge. Now, Katie, I know we already did actually an episode on this. We got to see this in advance because we know the writer director of the film, Eli Craig. Shout out to Eli and Sasha. Love you guys. If you just before we get into it, if you haven't seen it, we have an episode on this, and we have an interview with Eli and Sasha that we got to do last year. So feel free to watch that.
And in the interview, we talk about more than just Clown in a Cornfield.
We do. Katie, what do you give this for your rankings?
Now, I will say this: I did not go back on my notes, so I'm hoping that they match. I'm thinking they probably are close, but I gave this a letter grade of a B+. I gave this a rating by number as an 8.5, rating by stars as a 4 out of 5, and my replay value is will watch repeatedly.
Yeah.
I think that it is kind of a classic. When it came out, a lot of people like to say it was like introductory horror. It is. It could be. It is something that like our younger nieces and nephews could watch and still be creeped out by, but it's not going to be inappropriate or too gory. Or it's a good slasher.
Yeah, and that's good for introducing someone to horror. You know, like I've always said, I've always heard people say, "What would you give your kids to watch first if it was a horror?" It's like, well, I start them with Goosebumps, and then move up to I try to go like Halloween and Friday the 13th because those are like the least scary but the most legendary, and then kind of go from there. But
and again, not too overly gory,
right?
Yeah.
But you could start with this too. So
absolutely.
Well, I gave this film an A. I gave this a 9.5. I gave it 4.5 stars, and I put down will watch repeatedly because this is like a very much a comfort movie. I mean, you throw it on and it's like you're instantly in fall. They're moving to a new place and it's just like starting anew.
Yeah,
it's a fresh kind of nice feeling of a film. And, it's fun. I really liked it a lot. And
we got an early screener.
Yep.
So we watched it for fun.
Yep.
We watched it for notes.
Yep.
And then we ended up still going to the theater.
Yep.
And I think we've still watched it again after that.
Yeah, a couple times.
And I really, I did the Audible book or the Audible version of the book. And there were some things that I was like, man, I wish they would have.
Yeah.
There's a whole like corn silo
Yeah.
scene with her father that would have been really cool to see. I do think they're getting a second one.
We don't know yet.
We don't know yet. I do know that he just put out the 4th book.
Yeah.
So definitely look for that.
Lights, Camera, Friendo by Adam Cecere.
Yep. And I really enjoyed it. I just haven't gotten to listen to the second book yet, but I highly recommend listening or purchasing the book as well.
Yeah.
All right. So then next up is Companion.
Yeah.
So this stars Sophie Thatcher, Jack Quaid, and Lucas Gage. A weekend getaway with friends at a remote cabin turns into chaos after it's revealed that one of the guests is not what they seem.
Yeah.
And what grade did you give?
Well, I gave this movie an A for a letter grade. I gave this a 9 for a number ranking, 9 out of 10. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars, and I said that I will most likely for replay value ranking. This is one that I would likely watch again. How about you?
So for my letter grade, I gave this an A-. I also gave this a rating by number of a 9.
Yep.
And I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. And I put neutral as replayability. I did obviously I liked it with the grading that I had.
Yeah.
I just kind of went back and forth on kind of like there's some dark humor in it that it was good. I don't know that it would be one of the first things I'd be like,
Yeah.
put that on to like we've talked about before. I'm cleaning or I'm working on something or whatever. I'm just gonna throw it on in the background. It may not be the first one I choose, but
It was interesting how funny they were able to make it, with while it be still being a horror movie.
yeah,
When they reveal that the other robot companion is a gay guy. I remember that whole that couple, like
yeah,
everything about those guys were hilarious.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You definitely don't suspect that you would be rooting for the non-human, but you do.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So next up,
Yeah, so our next one, and we might be a little bit further divided on this one too, is Coyotes. This one stars Justin Long, married couple Justin Long and Kate Bosworth. It also has Mila Harris and Brittany Allen. Trapped in their Hollywood Hills home, a family fights for survival when caught between a raging wildfire and a pack of savage coyotes. Katie, where do you rank this? What do you give this?
now to preface, you hear that and that sounds intriguing, doesn't it?
It does.
That sounds like I want to see that movie. I gave this. I think this is the lowest letter grade I've given anything so far. This was an F.
Oh.
I gave this a rating by number as a 2. I gave this half a star, and I gave this never will watch again.
Okay.
Just my thoughts.
Yeah.
What about you?
I gave this a B minus for a letter grade.
Big divide.
Yeah. I gave this a 7.5 for rating by number. I gave this 3.5 stars, and I'm neutral on whether or not I'll watch it again because this one I really appreciated because you could definitely tell. I know from my recollection, this one started as indie, potentially went to different festivals, and then got bought by a major. I could be wrong, but watching it, I'm almost certain too that this might have been a COVID production because I think it was made a few years ago, and you could really tell in the movie that they literally just made this up in the Hollywood Hills. I think I'd have to look, but it looks like they made it just between a few houses, which was honestly impressive for what they did with it. I mean, again, I know you didn't like it.
Yeah.
The CGI coyotes were I'm going to say just slightly over the top, but at the same time, they were pretty freaky looking, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
You could tell they were CGI, which I was kind of.
I mean, it was better than the werewolf movie.
Yes, it was.
I will give it that. That's why I didn't go as low as possible. But
yeah,
I just remember thinking they don't know how to finish this.
Yeah, it's fair.
I don't want to give away too much about it. I do like Justin Long. This was not one of his
That's fair.
best movies.
He has become quite the Scream King, though. I feel like that's
Sure.
what he's exclusively doing now is horror, is what it seems like.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but
Yeah. I mean, he'll never top Accepted.
it's fair.
That's what I'm looking
Waiting for
him.
me.
Yeah. Nope. Exactly. All right. So next up, we have Dangerous Animals. This stars, is it Hassie?
Mhm.
Hassie Harrison, Jai Courtney.
Jai Courtney.
Is it Jai? That's misleading because I worked with a woman that was her name. Her name was Jay. All right. So it's Jai. It's Jai Courtney and Josh Houston.
I'm going to guess.
I'm guessing that's Houston.
Yeah.
All right. Description here. When Zephyr, a savvy and free-spirited surfer, is abducted by a shark-obsessed serial killer and held captive on his boat, she must figure out how to escape before he carries out a ritualistic feeding to the sharks below. What were your grades?
I loved this movie. I felt like they really did such a good job at marrying a couple of different sub horror genres to this. They took the wife beating type of molester almost killer, and he was literally taking women out to the ocean and feeding them to sharks, but also abusing the sharks. And again, I would never support that in real life, but for a film, that made for a damn good story.
I got a real feel that he was like the Silence of the Lambs guy.
Yeah.
It was creepy in the best way.
Yeah. So I gave this film an A. For our letter grade, I gave this a number ranking of a 9. I gave this for a star rating. I gave this 4.5 out of 5 stars. And I said that I'm likely to watch this again. I haven't watched it again, but it's one that I would put on, and I'm like, yeah, let's watch this.
Yeah.
How about you?
So my letter grade, I also you gave it an A minus.
No, I gave it an A.
Okay, so then yes, I also gave this a letter grade of an A. My rating by number was a 9.5. I gave this a 5 out of 5 on stars and will watch repeatedly. I was intrigued the entire time.
Yeah.
The main actress was superb. Again, he was creepy in the best way. The whole making a video feeding them to the sharks and then putting their hair with it and categorizing it. Mwah.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. There can be gore, there can be animal attacks, that can be gross, but don't rely on the gross to do the horror. They have built up this whole being kidnapped and the psyche of it. It's not just gore for gore's sake.
Yeah.
Loved it.
And I feel like it's peak Jai Courtney. I was not a fan of his as Captain Boomerang in Suicide Squad. But also, spoilers again, we're going to spoil the shit out of everything in this episode, so you might as well just expect it. The fact that we got to see that, the sharks were abused, too. Like, they had cuts all over them, and they hated him for, because he, whipped them and stuff. And threw spears at him and stuff. But then at the end, they got revenge on him as well. That was, the revenge for both the sharks and for the women. I thought that was awesome. You don't need to make a sequel or a franchise out of that. One works for it.
Yeah,
so,
it was great.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind a prequel. I'd watch it, but I don't know how you'd top it.
Yeah.
Who knows? They might.
Yep. Okay, so from Dangerous Animals, we move on to Death of a Unicorn. This one stars Paul Rudd, Jenna Ortega, and the very funny Will Poulter. Guy from, so this one's about a father and a daughter that accidentally hit and kill a unicorn while en route to a weekend retreat where his billionaire boss seeks to exploit their creatures' miraculous curative properties.
Miraculous.
What did I say?
Something else.
Miraculous curative property. I thought I said miraculous.
Anyway.
So Katie, what do you rate this one?
So what not to take up too much time with it, but we saw this. I think this was the first movie in the theaters after our car accident.
Yeah.
And it even says it in the description. The accident in the very beginning where they accidentally make the unicorn roadkill is so realistic.
Yeah.
I jumped out of my skin. I about had a full panic attack. It took away for me, and this is my own personal opinion, and I realize that's not going to be for everybody. But I felt like that was almost like the highlight, and then it kind of went. It was a little slower after that, but anyway, my letter grade here is going to be a C+.
Yeah.
And then my rating by number is a 6. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars, and I was neutral about re-seeing it.
Yeah.
I love Paul Rudd. I love Jenna Ortega, but this just, again, great premise, poorly executed.
Yeah.
What about you?
So this was another one that we're very divided on. I actually gave this the exact same ratings as Dangerous Animals. So for a letter grade, I gave this an A. For a rating by number, I gave it a 9. For a star rating, I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. And I said that I'm likely to watch again. I've actually watched it since theater, I think. I don't know. I was very entertained by this. This was
not so
okay.
Yeah.
I was very entertained by again Will Poulter's character. He's been, I've watched
the rich butthole really well.
Yeah. Watching him ever since The Voyage of Dawn Treader, Chronicles of Narnia, he's the little jerk kid. Really funny. I think that was the one he was in. I can't remember if it was that one or Prince Caspian. He was in one of the sequels.
Yeah.
But great actor. Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega, that's just like, how the hell are you not watching that? Like it could be, them just sitting around talking and it's a movie. But yeah, I don't know. I got into it.
Who was Will Poulter's mom? The actress.
I don't remember.
Is it Parker Posey?
They might have been. I'd have to look it up. I can't remember.
I remember liking her character, and I liked the kind of darker humor of it.
And I'll say the reason why I don't remember. You might be like, "Why do you like it so much?" But I don't remember because it's kind of has an ensemble of a cast. Like there's a bunch of people, so I just forget who it was.
Yeah,
yeah.
And there are interesting takes on unicorns with it and everything.
Yeah.
Not, not the greatest in my opinion.
And I will say, to your credit about the car accident part, it was crazy how realistic that felt. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you seeing it obviously with booming speakers in the theater, but also it was crazy how they were able to capture the sound of a car accident. Like,
The screech and crunch.
there's like a millisecond of a grind before you hit a car getting into an accident. It's like a good boom, and like they were able to manipulate even the like the scratching and into the bump.
Yes.
And I thought that was like crazy how they were able to capture that.
Yes.
So, all right, what's next?
So next up is Drop. And this stars Megan, is it Fahey? Fahey? Brandon
Skellner. Or
Skell-
Sklenner.
Sklenner?
Yes.
Violet and Bean, and Reed Diamond.
Yeah.
A widowed mother's first date in years takes a terrifying turn when she's bombarded with anonymous threatening messages on her phone during their upscale dinner, leaving her questioning if her charming date is behind the harassment.
Yeah. Now, before I
give that,
before I get into my rankings of this, I've got a feeling there's going to be a few people out there that watch us. They're going to be like, "What the fuck? That's not a fucking horror movie. Why are you talking about that?" There are a few in here that horror has subgenres.
Yep.
You know, I do believe still this was in the horror aspect of things. There's one that we'll talk about here in a few minutes that I think people might be upset about, but we loved it. And honestly, situations like this and the one we're going to talk about are very horrifying situations in real life. So, I mean, horror doesn't necessarily just have to be a mass killer or a ghost in a haunted house. You know,
and thriller and suspense are so close to horror.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree that those overlap so seamlessly.
Yeah.
So yes, this has a lot of suspense,
and this might
it's
be
not torture,
right.
But I would say something that is suspense and thriller is definitely a subgenre of the umbrella of horror.
This is also one that's, you know, I would definitely consider it horror light, but also it's one that you could watch with your girlfriend if she's not into horror, or
Right.
you know, your kid if they're trying to get into horror. Like these, like there's
It's still going to get your heart rate up.
right.
I mean, you're still going to be going, what if, and what if she can do this, and
Right.
can't she get away? And
Now with Drop, I gave this a B. There's a reason why I gave this the ratings I gave it. I gave it a B+ 4-letter grade. I gave it an 8.5 for a ranking by number. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and I said I was neutral on the replay value ranking. It was okay. The biggest drawback for me on this film is they literally showed you everything in the trailer except for the person
The
who's
twist.
except for who, I mean, twist-ish, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just a reveal, I guess, you know what I mean? It wasn't as twisty as, like, say, The Rip, you know? Like, it felt just, I don't know, it fell a little flat for me, but it was still good, you know? I really enjoyed seeing Reed Diamond in this. I haven't seen him in a lot. He was in The Purge season 1, you know, was a little bit more scarier in there. He was, you know, a rich white guy, basically. But he still did a really good job in this. When I saw him, though, I was like, gotta be the guy. What about you, Katie? What do you rank Drop?
So by letter grade, I gave this an A.
Okay.
By number, I gave this a 9. Rating by stars, I gave it a 4 out of 5. And my replay value, I put will watch repeatedly.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I've watched this at least once, if not twice, without you. I personally liked the twists and turns that it did give.
Yeah.
You might say that they're small turns. But basically, you spend the entire time trying to figure out who, why, and where they have pinpointed her, and she's getting the harassing communication. I think this is definitely one of those where it's horror for the digital age.
Yeah.
This is kind of, a time capsule in a way. I'm sure that in 15, 20 years, technology is going to be different. You're going to giggle at, how do you not know, or whatever, the way we would like in the 80s getting like a strange phone call. We'll just look at your caller ID,
Right.
But I did like it for what it was worth, for what it gave.
Yeah.
Next up.
All right. So the next one we have is Fear Street Prom Queen. This comes off the extremely successful trilogy that the Fear Street trilogy gave us from Netflix. Stars India Fowler, Fina Straza, Lily Taylor, and Chris Klein. When the It Girls, competing for prom queen at Shadyside High, start to disappear, A gutsy outsider discovers she's in for one hell of a prom night. Now, Katie, this was one of your most anticipated for the year. I think it was one of mine as well. How did this turn out for you?
I think similar to what you were saying earlier, expectations kind of
Yeah.
don't match reality. It's a bigger bummer. I really did like the Fear Street that we got with the 3 separate movies in the different timelines. I was a huge Fear Street reader back in the day. Um, not to get into it, but I had anxiety and night terrors and things like that. Things would easily scare me as a child. And I started with Goosebumps, went on to Fear Street, spent a long time reading a lot of Fear Street. So I was excited for this, but I was pretty let down. My rating by grade was a D minus.
Mhm.
My rating by number was a 3. I gave this a half of a star out of the 5, and the replay value was unlikely. I will say, I think at one point you were out of town or weren't home, and I was like, I'm just gonna give it another shot just to see, because sometimes replaying, you see something different, or oh, okay, now that makes more sense. I still didn't like it trying it a second time.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, I was bummed too because I was also disappointed, especially having Lily Taylor and Chris Klein in there. Especially when it was revealed that the two of them were the killers. I was like, wow, that's, I know Chris Klein was the killer, one of the killers. I can't
Yeah.
remember if Lily Taylor was the other one, but very disappointed in this one. It was very obvious that they were the killers the whole time. Remember, we couldn't find them. Like it was like it's got to be them or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically the big reveal was that one of the prom queen candidates' parents were taking out her competition,
Mm-hmm.
but then she was also in on it,
Yeah.
like at the end.
Yeah. So I gave this a D minus for a letter grade. I gave this a 3.5 for a rating by number. I gave this 1.5 stars, which I'm actually thinking I should go lower, but I guess because it's on the paper, I'll say 1.5 stars. And I said that I will never watch this again. I have no desire to. Maybe if we do it. Yeah, no, I don't think I'm going to do it.
No.
So
All right, next up is The Fetus. Stars Bill Moseley, Lauren Lavera, and Julian Curtis. A couple become pregnant with their half-human, half-demonic fetus with a thirst for blood and must uncover its terrifying origins before it's too late. What'd you give this?
I struggled with this one too because a lot of expectation for like a way less delivery. Pretty much the good grades I gave this one was just based on the actors, and they still were able to perform. So I gave this a C minus for a letter grade. I gave this a 6.5 for a rating by number out of 10. Gave this 2.5 stars for a star rating, and I am said that I'm unlikely to watch this again. Yeah,
Much
man.
nicer than me.
Well, yeah, and this was very hyped. Spending some time with both of these main actors, kind of made me like it a little more. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't their best work. Yeah. What about you?
Again, I liked the actors.
Yeah.
There were just a lot of plot holes, but why?
Yeah.
And then again, the gross to just be gross, not for me.
Yep.
So my rating by letter grade, I gave it a D minus.
Okay.
My rating by number was a 2. And my rating by star was a half a star. Yeah. And I put down that never watching again. Yeah. Once wasn't good enough, and even that wasn't good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, this wasn't good.
No, I get it.
All right, next up.
All right, so next up we have Good Boy. This one was a very highly anticipated one by a lot of people, and I know a lot of people didn't see it because they were worried that the dog gets hurt. A dog doesn't get hurt. But anyway, so it stars Indy the dog, who, by the way, was apparently in every episode of Daredevil Born Again. Did not know that. The revival series that they did, which is also like basically a season 4 for Daredevil on Disney Plus, but I guess he's in that. Indy the dog, and then Shane Jensen and Ariel Friedman, which I'm assuming those were his handlers. A loyal dog moves to a rural family home with his owner, only to discover supernatural forces lurking in the shadows. As dark entities threaten his human companion, the brave pup must fight to protect the one he loves most. Okay, what did you give this for your ratings?
So for letter grade, I gave this a C minus. For my rating by number, I gave this a 5. For my rating by stars, I gave this a 2.5. And my replay value was unlikely.
Okay.
Um, I honestly gave it a little bit of a higher grade simply because I did like some of the stills. The cinematography of it was good.
Yeah.
But the most interesting thing was at the end of the film, hearing the director and the main actor explain how he made this movie. And yes, it took years for them,
Yeah.
and it was a lot of hard work. Um, but for me, the plot was a little lacking when you still didn't understand it. He was a drug addict, but then he was coughing like he had cancer? Was it
Right.
the house doing something to him? It just wasn't. It wasn't a clear like evil entity. It
Right.
wasn't a clear who the bad guy was. So it, it's worth a watch. It's an interesting concept, but don't leave it thinking you're gonna know what was going on.
Yeah.
What about you, Brandon?
Well, I agree with you. There wasn't a lot of clear direction, and you saw people online in comments, and your friends that saw it, they were like, "Oh yeah, it's a commentary on smoking and health and blah blah blah." And I'm like, Mm, yeah, it wasn't. It was, but it wasn't because there was still like this dark entity.
Right.
Something had happened to the dog.
The dog keeps getting the shadow guy.
Right outside, away from his owner,
Yeah.
and like he found the skeleton of his dad's dog in the like the whatever
Yeah.
the lower part of the house.
And I'm remembering now too, we talked about I felt like it was backward in that it starts out with the dog not seeing much of his owner. And as time progresses and his owner gets worse, he starts, or we as an audience are able to see more of his owner,
Yeah.
like physically. And to me, that says the opposite of like someone like disintegrating in either to addiction or
Right.
health problems. Like you, you would think that the dog would be seeing less of the owner as time was going on.
The way that I describe this movie is I felt like they spent so much time on the dog and getting him to emote because they show you in the credits, the entire credits is showing how they did it and what they did each scene. However, I felt like they spent more time on trying to get the dog to emote, but they didn't really spend too much time on the human aspect of the story.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
with that, I graded it at a D plus for a grade. I gave it a 5 out of 10 for a number ranking. I gave it 2 stars. And then I said I'm never watching it again. I have no desire to see this again. I mean, I don't see a sequel coming. I mean, Indy the dog was a great actor. He deserved his reward, but I
Yeah.
don't think the humans did.
Yeah.
So just being honest.
Yeah. I put likely just simply because or I'm sorry, unlikely, just simply because I wasn't sure if there would be a sequel, a prequel. There's a storyline in there of the owner's like grandfather that lived in the same house. And so I'm like, well, if they do something with that and they can add to the story, I may end up I probably won't rewatch
Yeah.
it. Next up is Heart Eyes. Stars Mason Gooding, Olivia Holt, Devin Sawa, and Jordana Brewster. More big names.
Yep.
When two coworkers have to survive the Heart Eyes killer on Valentine's Day, the two have to find out who the killer is.
Yep.
What's your grade?
Well, here's the thing. I struggle with this one because this was another one that I was really heavy anticipation for throughout the year. I'll say my little thing here. I was literally in New Zealand when they were filming this, Megan 2.0, and Predator Badlands all at the same time. Now, I actually stayed. There's a part in the movie where the old guy is dropping off the girl. He's the old guy from Power Rangers. He's the cab driver dropping the girl off. I stayed like up the hill from where he was at, like barely even, like I could walk to where they were at. So I was like really excited to see that and stuff. But then it's like the movie itself, the pacing was just so choppy. And, I was,
The editing of it.
yeah. And I was really excited to see, like, oh, wow, they're doing a Valentine's Day killer. We've only ever gotten My Bloody Valentine. This will be nice, whatever, something different for a change. And it just really, again, it just really struggled to kind of get to the end. I mean, they spent so much time in that freaking drive-in, like that scene. So with that,
But some of the kills were really good.
they were. So I mean, I still enjoyed the movie. I gave this movie a B minus, which I still is a fair grade. I felt like it was all right. I gave it a 7 out of 10 for a number ranking. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars for star rating, and I said I'm neutral on whether or not I'll watch again. I probably will.
Yeah.
So, what about you?
A very similar. My rating by letter grade was a C plus. My rating by number, I put a 5.5. So kind of like right in the middle.
Okay.
My rating by stars, I did a 2.5, again, kind of in the middle. And I was neutral on replay value. I liked some of the dark humor.
Yeah.
Some of the kills, this is so weird to say, but some of the kills did make you kind of laugh about what was going on and everything. I did not like who the killers were. I didn't really like the reveal per se.
Yeah.
But again, I feel like were stronger ways to go about even making those characters be the killers.
Yep.
That just is a little bit of a letdown.
Yep.
All right. So next up is
So our next one is going to be a little bit of a hard grade to give for both of us, I think, because we shut this one off. So you can kind of tell where this is going to go. But
if you're part of like Book Talk or Goodreads, this is a DNF.
Yeah.
Did not finish.
Yeah. But we still graded it, and you can probably guess what they're going to be. But Hell of a Summer. This one was written and directed by Billy Brick and Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things and It. It was their writing and directing debut. Stars Fred Hetchinger, Billy Brick, Finn Wolfhard, and Paradise Ceremi. Basically, the counselors of a summer camp are terrorized by a mass killer. Katie, what do you give this for grades?
The letter grade I gave it was an F.
Yep.
A rating by number was a 1. Yep. Rating by stars was a 0. And the replay value was never watching again.
Yeah.
I just couldn't.
Yeah.
What about you?
Almost the same. I'll F for a letter grade. 1 by rating of number through 1 through 10. Half a star. I felt bad giving it 0, but I gave it half. I gave it literally a half a star just because Finn Wolfhard was in it and that he wrote and directed it partially. So I'm like, well, anything with Finn Wolfhard, you'd think he'd like, but. And then I said I'm never watching it again. My biggest, the thing that really took me out of it, that I stopped watching it and was like, screw this, was it's a damn horror movie. They kept panning away from when people would get killed.
Yes.
What the fuck am I watching this for? Like, I'm not going to sit here and watch it if you're not. And again, I'm not some kind of like crazy need to watch people die.
Yeah.
But I know what I'm watching when I turn on a horror movie. And if this is going to be a slasher, can we see the kills?
Can we see the slashing?
Right. Because for me, again, it's not about having to see the gore. It's not about having to see, but I do like to see the production value of it. I like to see how they're going to slice someone in the stomach. And then for me, this might be my autism, but it's like, I like to think, okay, did they have like a blood bag in there? Did they whack it? And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I like that kind of
It's
stuff.
like knowing that the guy was under the bed.
Yeah.
And it was pushing the blood through on Kevin Bacon. Yeah.
That's the kind of shit that I like to watch. I'm starting the.
It feels like a lazy out.
Right. It does. I'm starting the Lord of the Rings appendices again for the first time in like 20 years because I love watching the behind the scenes stuff. If you're going to take that away from me in the actual feature film, I don't even want to watch it.
It's like if you were to go to a rom-com and the entire movie you're like waiting for them to get together, and like the moment they're about to kiss, it's like credits.
Yeah. Or another good example, while staying on brand here or on genre, Godzilla 2014.
Yeah.
Godzilla was getting ready to fight. I want to say, I don't know, one of the big things.
Was that the one where he had like less than 5 minutes in the whole film or something?
That, yes. But remember, like, the humans were getting in the door, like the door was closing as they were about to fight. And then the next scene was after the fight.
Yeah.
What the fuck, man? Like, no. Like, let me see Godzilla hit something.
Right.
Or, shoot his fire breath at whatever, But anyway.
That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
Right.
All right. So next up is him.
Yes.
I have a feeling we're going to have some different opinions, but we'll see.
We'll see.
Stars are Marlon Wayans. Is it Tyreek Withers?
Yep.
And Julia Fox.
Yeah.
A young athlete descends into a world of terror when he's invited to train with a legendary champion whose charisma curdles into something darker that promises to make him the next GOAT.
Yes.
What's your grades?
All right. Here's the thing. There are several new and up-and-coming actors that are great. Some aren't. Mason Gooding, he, from Scream and Hard Eyes. We've got Brandon Sklenar from Housemaid and Drop. And we've got this Tyreek Withers, who did this film, and I know what you did last summer in 2025. I'm not a fan of this guy. I don't think he's a great actor. I give it to him for like getting the work he got this year.
Mhm.
His work is just not for me. He's
Ooh.
okay, but it's just I'm not gonna be like, ooh, awesome actor. No, I'm not.
See, that's the opposite. I thought the acting on his part was good,
Yeah,
and the rest was all crap.
maybe. I mean, he did it all right, but like, I just don't. I don't like. I don't know. I don't.
Yeah.
Something about me bugs me. You know what I mean?
It's me with Reese Witherspoon.
Oh, okay. I
Or
didn't know
not
that.
Witherspoon, Renee Zellweger.
Okay, yeah,
I only like her in Chicago. Everything else she's ever done, I've disliked it.
yeah.
I don't know. I can't pinpoint it. It is what it is.
For him, though, for the ranking, I gave this a D plus.
Oh,
I gave this a 4.5.
okay.
I gave this 1.5 stars, and I said I'm never going to watch this again, because when I realized what they were doing, like I thought the concept of the quote unquote greatest of all time, the GOAT,
Yeah.
like the concept made sense of like, okay, yeah, I'm going to sell my soul, do all this crazy shit,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to be the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
That makes sense. The road they took to get there was
Made no sense.
really fucking weird.
Made
Like,
no sense.
I don't get. Yeah,
None at all. None at all.
hit me with your ratings.
So I take back because we were almost spot on here. I thought you had enjoyed it a little bit more than I did.
No, I enjoy. Like I said, I enjoy the concept,
Yeah.
but just the follow through didn't really work.
Yeah, I was ready to not finish this one either, honestly. My ranking by letter grade was a D plus. My ranking by number was a 4. My rating by stars was a half a star, and definitely never watching again.
Yeah.
Again, not to beat a dead horse here, being gross just for gross sake. In particular, there's the scene where he's on the field playing and a teammate is getting hit in the face super up close with these footballs, just mangling this man. Why?
Right.
What does that have to do to progress the story? Again, I'm not against gore, but make it make sense,
Yep.
not just to unsettle you per se. It that had nothing to do
Yeah.
with why he was chosen and what they were doing, and it no.
Yeah. Now, I will say I did like the end. I liked how they resolved it. I like how he said, no, this is not how I'm going to be the greatest of all time. I'll go my own way.
Really late in the game.
Right.
Up bump.
And he killed that whole, like, council. And I just thought that was badass. Like, the whole scene worked for me. I'm like,
Yeah.
it was basically like, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to find my own way. And not only that, I'm going to prevent you guys from finding a GOAT and putting somebody else
Yeah.
at us. Again, that's why I gave it a D plus or whatever I gave
It's
it. Yeah.
definitely a commentary on the sports world.
Yeah.
On the talking heads, the figureheads, the who's actually making decisions. I get it. Like we've said before, sometimes it's just not for me.
Yeah.
It's just not for me. To me, I was hyped for it when I heard about Marlon Wayans doing this kind of horror and things like that.
Sports horror. You never heard sports horror before.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I mean, usually sports is like a theme inside of something else. Yeah. They're the football team guys or whatever. But again, I feel like it had the opportunity to be better than what it was.
Yep.
Next up.
All right, the next one, The Housemaid. Again, this is one where people might be like, that's a fucking horror movie. Well, have you watched it? Because, I mean, this is very horrific for women, I feel like, and I feel like it counts. So if you got a penis, you might not necessarily have an opinion, but...
No uterus, no opinion.
Right, no. So this stars Sydney Sweeney, Amanda Seyfried, and Brandon Sklinner. Again, I'm saying his name wrong. A struggling woman is relieved by the chance for a fresh start as a maid for a wealthy couple. Soon she discovers that the family secrets are far more dangerous than her own. Katie, what do you give this for rankings?
I gave this rating by letter grade is an A plus. Rating by number is a 10. Rating by stars is a 5 out of 5. And the replay value is I will definitely be rewatching this.
Yeah.
I, through Audible, have listened to everything except for the novella in this series. To me, Frida McFadden is an amazing author.
Yep.
Some of her books can have redundant themes, and I will say that that is true for some of the people that have criticized that some of her things are similar.
Yeah.
Where, you think it's a good person and then they switch and things change. I honestly didn't think that Sydney Sweeney was going to be good for this character.
Mm,
When I listened to this book, the thought of this even being a movie hadn't occurred, and it just wasn't who I pictured in my mind for it.
yeah.
But when I sat down and watched it, perfect. The only things that they changed from the book was that Nina, Amanda Seyfried's character, is supposed to have like a weight problem. She keeps gaining weight. And that's the reason why she gives her the clothes, which is a minor change. And then the other thing is when she drops the plates, and her punishment in the movie is to slash her stomach. In the book, it's putting books on her stomach for
Yeah.
hours. And then, spoiler alerts, but the way that the husband dies at the end is it honestly, to me, a better ending than the book, which is shocking to say. But highly recommend.
Yeah.
With all that said, then Brandon, what's your grade?
So we, for once, have the exact same ratings. I gave this an A+ for letter grade. I gave this a 10 out of 10 for ranking. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars, and I said I would also rewatch this repeatedly. This film is still in theaters with full showings and making a shitload of money.
And they've already been greenlit for the sequel, which
Yep.
I'm so excited
And I
for.
think they're shooting for it to be out at the end of this year, if I'm not
That
mistaken.
I heard that as well.
Yeah.
They're trying to get it out for December, so I really hope that that's the case. I superbly casted, superbly acted, a great book. I obviously knew what the twist was, and I didn't tell Brandon. And I was hoping it would be good and that he would enjoy himself, because This Is the End wasn't good, and it was one of my favorite books of the year that I had read, and I was disappointed by that one. So I'm so thankful that the housemaid
Yeah. Well,
did well.
and I'll say this too. One thing that really made me chuckle was, and again, we're talking spoilers, so, there comes a point where Sydney Sweeney gets the upper hand on the husband, and she's, making him do shit to himself or whatever.
Mhm.
The way she spoke, okay, it was beautiful because she was really hitting him with like the millennial speak. And I say millennial speak because I feel like our generation really started it the way that we used to bitch about stuff.
Mm.
The way she was doing it, she was like, what is it? She said, she was like, oh, you like really got yourself in the face. Oh, thank you. And like, but on purpose. Like she was being that sassy bitch on
Yeah.
purpose. In his eyes, he was like, oh, you fucking bitch. You could tell
Yeah.
she had like the upper hand, and it was like, I've had enough of this. Now I'm gonna turn around on you and be a jackass. Kind of like when we fight, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, you gonna cry about your little, like you don't say that to me, but it's like
I was gonna say I don't necessarily do that.
that's how she was in the movie, and I was just like, man, that's
Oh, it sucks to be you.
yeah, kind of like, and I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, but like, that was really big. Like, I'm thinking of my sister and her best friend back in the day when they would bitch at each other, or when my sister would bitch about something, I would hear that, but
Yeah.
not to say that my sister, whatever, but yeah. All right. So what's the next, Katie?
Into the Deep stars Callum McGowan, Scout Taylor Compton, John Cena, and Richard Dreyfuss. Pirates on the hunt for sunken drugs kidnap a boat of tourists and force them to dive into shark-infested waters to retrieve the contraband.
Yeah.
What's your grades?
Well, I love Scout. She's so nice to me every time we see each other at a con. Like, we know each other a little bit like that. And, so I really wanted to see this to support her. I still haven't watched Speed Train with Leona Ramirez yet. I want to see that. Loved The Long Night. I love that one. I love Starlight. She did really good at that. So I was really hoping, oh man, this is going to be a really good Scout, movie with a shark. And it wasn't great. It, and I don't think it was really her. She did a good job. I really liked her acting in it, beautiful as always. But I will say for this movie as a whole, for a letter grade, I gave it a C-. I gave this a 7 out of 10 for a rating. Or no, I'm sorry. I gave it a 6.5 out of 10 for a rating. I gave it 2.5 stars, and I said I'm unlikely to ever watch this again. The biggest thing that I feel like took me out of this, and I hate to say this because Richard Dreyfuss is Jaws. He's, right? Like, my gosh. The flashbacks with him, between her, Richard Dreyfuss plays her grandfather, the flashbacks took you so out of the film, and it's like, dude, what the fuck? But what I will say, what I loved about this movie, if I'm remembering correctly, when she's underwater in the ocean, staring the shark face to face, that was sick. I loved that. What would you give it?
So, by letter grade, I gave this a D. By number, I gave this a 4.
Okay.
Rating by stars, I gave this a 2. And for replayability, I said never watch again.
That's fair.
I just, once again, good concept, bad execution.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one is Keeper. Stars Tatiana Maslany, Rosa Sutherland, and Burkett Turton. A romantic anniversary to a secluded cabin turns sinister when a dark presence reveals itself, forcing a couple to confront the property's haunting past. Katie, what do you give this for rankings?
So, we have a column here where we can put notes in. And this is like the only one that I put a note in. And I said the ending makes no sense.
Yeah.
But I did go ahead and my letter grade is a C minus.
Okay.
My number, my rating by number is a 5. I gave this a 2.5 out of 5 stars. And then I did put that I'll never likely to watch again.
Yeah.
What about you?
I gave this a C plus because it was all right. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I gave it 2.5 stars, and I also said I would never watch it again because it was okay, but it has 0 replay value. I have no interest in seeing it again.
Right,
Yeah.
right. It's intriguing. You kind of want to find out why and what is going on. You spend most of the time going, but why? Who's really like insane or whatever, which is it's intriguing. There are some interesting aspects of like the ghosts and what they look like and the stuff in the background, but the ending makes 0 sense.
Yeah.
Make it make sense. I even Googled what it was and it still doesn't make sense. So,
Yep.
my opinion. But all right, next up is The Long Walk. Stars Cooper Hoffman, David Johnson?
Yep.
Johnson, Garrett Waring, and Mark Hamill. A group of teenage boys compete in an annual contest known as the Long Walk, in which they must maintain a certain walking speed or get shot. And that includes if you have to do your business.
Yep.
It's an interesting concept. It's a Stephen King
Yep.
novella, right? I think it's a novella.
I think so.
Interesting concept. I went into it intrigued, and I was impressed. I liked it. Anyway, so what did your grades?
This movie was absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely 0 notes. A plus for a letter grade. I gave this a 10 out of 10 for a number ranking. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. And I said that I would watch this repeatedly. Probably, yeah, this is one I could throw on as a comfort, I think. I got to say, man, David Johnson is absolutely just charming and phenomenal.
The
black kid. The
yes.
black guy is the one. He's the one from Alien,
Yes.
Romulus, who played a very charming robot.
Loved him in that too.
And you know what? It's honestly, he was great in that, but you kind of got to see more of his human personality, and you still kind of could tell he was almost like charismatic robotic still, but like not. You know what I mean? I feel like he just
Yeah.
kind of gives that, but not in a bad way. You know what I mean? Like and just how emotional he was with Cooper Hoffman's character, just.
Yeah.
And then Hamill, like being the drill sergeant, literally, like just such a good, like different Mark Hamill than we're used to. So badass.
Yeah. And it sounds like I remember us talking about before watching it. Like we're just like in Clerks when they were making fun of Lord of the Rings. Like I'm just walking again. Like what?
Yeah.
How is this actually going to keep my interest for like 2 hours?
I wondered that too. Honestly,
They did phenomenal with it. There's a lot of backstory without flashbacks.
Yeah.
It does give a little bit of Hunger Games feel in that it's young individuals being put on display.
Yeah.
And to the death, but it's very good. So my rating by letter grade, I went ahead and gave it an A. My rating by number, I gave it a 9.
Okay.
I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. And I put neutral. I would watch it again. There is certain points where it is very uncomfortable, and you do really feel um, comes to mind, like, the guy he needs to go to the bathroom, and, like, him going to the bathroom and, like, trying to get his pants back up and everything, but you're rooting for these guys, but you know that only one is supposed to make it to the end, you know? And there's great twists and everything, so, anyway, I kinda put neutral because I don't know that it would be something I'd put on in the background, but I would watch it again.
Yeah.
Alright, so next up.
Next up, we have The Monkey. Stars Theo James, Tatiana Maslany again. And we have Christian Convery. When two twin brothers, Bill and Hal, find their father's old monkey toy in the attic, a series of gruesome deaths start. The siblings decide to throw the toy away and move on with their lives, growing apart over the years. Katie, I remember we saw this in theaters together. Well, obviously we do. We see all of them in theaters together. But I remember how you felt about this. Watch this. What did you think of this?
So, looking back on it, I'm a little bit nicer than I think I was initially. My rating by letter grade, I gave this a D plus. I went ahead and gave this a 4.5 out of 10 as my number. Give it a 3 out of 5 on the stars, which is a little bit nicer. And then I put unlikely to rewatch. There were, again, like, dark humor, like the actress from Schitt's Creek that's a Levy. Her death laughed at. The death with the school bus laughed at. But it was just, I feel like, just a poor thought out movie.
Yeah.
Not my cup of tea. What about you?
I remember being really entertained by the kills. It was very much a dark comedy along with this. I enjoyed it, I think, a little bit more, but it's weird because I gave it a little bit of a less ranking in one. I gave this a B for letter grade. I gave this an 8 out of 10 for rating. I gave this a 2.5 out of 5 stars, and I gave this I said I was neutral on whether or not I'd watch it again or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It. I hate to say it, but in the list of all the other 2025 movies, it's forgettable.
Yeah.
Um.
There's several in here that are.
Yes.
Even Companion, as much as I like that one.
I had to go, oh yeah, that was that one.
Yeah.
Yep, so yeah. Next up is Sinners. Stars Michael B. Jordan ×2, Jack O'Connell, and Haley Steinfeld. Trying to leave their troubled lives behind, twin brothers return to their hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting for them to come back.
Yep.
What
Well,
is your grade?
um,
I think I could just probably say same goes for me double.
yeah. I got to be honest with you guys. Sinners, it was very up in the air. You either loved it or you kind of thought it was meh. I think.
Yeah.
Gave it an A plus for a letter grade. Gave this a 10 out of 10 for a ranking. Gave this a 5 out of 5 stars, and I already have watched it repeatedly and will continue to.
Yep. And I've listened to the soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
That I like.
What do you got?
Same.
Yep.
All down the line, exactly the same. I do see the comparison to what's the one I always forget the name of? That it's like them with the
From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yes, From Dusk Till Dawn. There is comparison of it, but for me, this blew Dusk Till Dawn out of the water the way that it was executed. And I really do hope, I don't know how you would ever do a sequel, but I would love to see a prequel of the vampires with the Native Americans and them hunting him. It would be amazing.
I could see that. Yeah, for me, now not to disagree or put down what you said, but this is just my own kind of thinking. I love From Dusk Till Dawn. I love Sinners. I really do feel like the two of them deserve to stand on their own merits.
They do.
And they're a little bit, I can see similar comparisons, but they're very, very different as well.
There's a lot of the same themes in that brothers running from either the law or the gangs, getting locked in with vampires in a bar.
Yep.
There's a lot of the same themes, but Sinners did it better.
Well, Yeah, and I won't say whether one is better than the other. But
Well,
here's what I will say. The pick that I have that From Dusk Till Dawn actually has over Sinners is and again, this is a pick. This isn't I did not obviously take any points away or letter grade it. This is just a little pick of mine. The vampire lore in this one, when it comes to inviting someone in. Um, and this is kind of a thing for me. This is kind of like Carrie Ann Inaba with lifts and dancing on Dancing with the Stars. In my opinion, I feel like the person who owns the establishment or runs the establishment, well, let me take that back. In a private property, I feel like the owner of the place has to be the one to let the person in. With Sinners, they had a public juke. I really felt like the vampires could have just gotten in at any point.
it wasn't technically public.
Well, true, I guess, but the black ones, then the black guys should have been able to. The black people that got bitten, because it was specifically supposed to be a
Juke.
juke for black people. I mean,
And
I'm not just saying that
they did purchase it from
right.
the KKK guy at the very beginning.
True.
So they do own it.
Yeah. But so either I felt like if they're making it a juke to where the black and Asian people were allowed to come in, they should have just been allowed to come in whatsoever. But if it was owned by the Smokestack twins, I felt like they were the only ones that could have been allowed to say, "Come on in." The Asian girl who lets them in, I felt like had no right to that at all.
I could see that.
But again,
That
just
is
a pick.
Yeah, but it's a minor.
It is. That's why I said it didn't take away any
But
points.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So next up, we have Together.
Together.
This stars Dave Franco and Allison Brie, real life married couple, as well as Damon Harriman. Years into their relationship, Tim and Millie find themselves at a crossroads as they move to the country, with tensions already flaring. An encounter with an unnatural force threatens to corrupt their lives, their love, and their flesh. Katie, what'd you give this for rankings?
I gave this a letter grade of a B.
Okay.
I gave this a rating by number as an 8. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars, but I did say I would be unlikely to watch this again.
Okay.
Once you've seen it, you're pretty much good.
Yeah.
I do want to give a little bit of a spoiler that at the beginning of this film, I kept singing, and I had no clue. It's not in any preview. It's not in anything. But I kept singing, "When Two Become One."
By the Spice Girls.
And it's in the movie. We'll just say that. What about you?
So I gave this so this is one where I'm actually lower than you. I gave this a D-.
Oh.
I gave this a 3. I gave it a 1.5 stars, and I said I'll never watch it again.
Wow.
It just didn't do it for me, man. Like, it was okay. Like, I shouldn't even say it was okay. It was meh.
To me, it was better than Keeper, with a very kind of somewhat similar feel.
I felt like Keeper made more sense than this one.
Wow.
I did, yeah. But,
interesting.
Because they didn't really, I don't remember them explaining why they had to be together like that or whatever. But
Yeah.
I will say, I think the positive grade of it that I give it was because I also was, I'll even spoil it. They were, the two become one thing. At the end, they realize they can't not be together, literally form one being. And so literally Franco is like, we got to do this. Fucking busts out the Spice Girls record, pops it on the record player.
My jaw dropped.
Yeah. We were both dying laughing. Holy shit, that was funny.
It really is a commentary on marriage.
Yeah.
Whether it's heterosexual marriage, homosexual marriage, or marriage just that you're partners for so long.
Yep.
You get to a point where you are, friends may not get it and things like that. You do either basically have to assimilate to each other's who they are, or you're going to have to call it quits.
Right.
And that's basically where they're at. They're magnetically pulled to each other, and they just have to kind of succumb and say, we're going to be one.
Yep.
It's a weird scene, but you'll laugh your ass off.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Next up is Until Dawn. Stars Ella Rubin, Michael, is it Cimino?
I think so.
Odessa Ozayan. A group of friends trapped in a time loop where mysterious foes chase and kill them in gruesome ways must survive until dawn to escape. What do you got for grades, dude?
Gotta be honest with you, this movie is absolute shit. in my opinion. I gave this an F, gave it a 1, gave it half a star, said I'd never watch it again.
So, fun fact, I didn't finish this movie. I fell asleep.
Oh, that's right.
So, I even attempted at one point to try and rewatch it. You were gone somewhere or whatever, and I was like, I gotta at least see the end. Fell asleep again. Still don't know how it ends. Don't really care about two. So my letter grade was a D minus. I kind of felt like I couldn't completely commit to the F because I still haven't seen the ending. But you can say F. Rating by number 3. I gave it a half a star and unlikely. It was poorly made.
It was your favorite bad guys from Supernatural. It was a Wendigo. Serious.
Indigo.
I say Wendigo. Okay, so our next one on the list, is that you or me? That's me.
It's you.
It's Vicious. All right, so this one stars Dakota Fanning, Catherine Hunter, and Mary McCormick. A woman spends the night fighting for her existence as she slips down a rabbit hole contained inside a gift from a late-night visitor. Another elevated horror movie. Katie, what do you think?
An elevated horror movie that also still make no sense.
Yep.
My rating grade for this was a D. My rating by number was a 3. I'm a poet and I didn't even know it. My rating by stars is a half. And never watching again. Made no sense. You, sir.
I went a little higher, but not too much. I said this was a C minus for a letter grade. Gave this a 5 for a rating by number. Gave it 2 stars, and I also said I would never watch it again. Really the only thing I liked about it was Dakota Fanning. I thought she did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I mean, I would watch her in something else that's horror,
Yeah.
right? I mean, but it made no sense.
Yep.
If you can make sense of it, put it in the comments. I still probably won't understand.
Yeah.
Next up is weapons. I got both Sinners and Weapons,
You
and
did. I'm literally, that's so funny that she's saying this because I'm sitting there thinking, man, she got to read both Sinners and what?
So he color coded our list as green and purple, and I honestly chose purple because I thought it was easier to read.
Yeah,
It's darker. I didn't even look to see what I would get, and hey, I got the good ones. Weapons, starring Julie Garner, Josh Brolin, Benedict Wong, and Amy Madigan. When all but one child from the same class mysteriously vanish on the same night at exactly 2:17 a.m., a community is left questioning who or what is behind their disappearance. Sir, what are your grades?
Well, first of all, this movie's fucking awesome. I went for it. I gave it the goods, man. I gave it an A for an A plus for a letter grade. I gave it a 10 out of 10 for a number ranking. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars for a rating. Now, I did say that I would likely watch it again. This isn't the first movie I'd throw on for like a comfort movie, but man, this fucking movie was damn good.
Mm-hmm.
How about you?
Same goes for me, double. I already knew it. What was funny is we were talking about how I got to read, but I was like, each time you're going to give the full A plus, 10, 5 out of 5. Same here. I will say I've already watched it twice.
Now, question before you go into this, were you likely to watch again or repeat?
Yeah, will watch repeatedly.
Okay, that's different.
Yeah, a little bit different, yeah. But what was I saying? Oh, I have seen this twice. The first time you watch it, if you're going in completely blind, you're spending about 2/3 of the movie going, what? How? Why? You're completely confused. But this is the difference between the other movies that didn't make sense. They end up making sense in the last act here, and you get to have that last final puzzle piece. And honestly, the next time you watch it through, when you're picking up on more things, and it's making more sense.
Yeah, and
totally good.
And plus, they do it. It's a vantage point movie, like literally, like you get to see like 6 different vantage points or something.
Yes.
You get to see it from the main character, I mean, there's a bunch. So I mean, you get to see it just from all sorts of different characters.
Yeah.
Okay, so our last new horror film that's not a part of a franchise or anything like a sequel is Your Host. This one stars Jackie Earle Haley, Ella Ray Smith, and Jamie Flatters. 4 friends get trapped into a sadistic game show, forced to outwit a twisted serial killer while racing against time. Every move brings them closer to freedom or a gruesome fate. Katie, what'd you rank this?
So I'm going to give you my letter grades, but I will also preface this a little bit. This particular movie, I think I asked you at least 4 times, "Hey, what was that your host movie again?" And we haven't watched it that long ago. It's really kind of forgettable, but it's still good. So, my letter grade is a C+. My number is a 5.5. My stars are a 2.5 out of 5, and I'm unlikely to rewatch.
Yep.
To me, it was a little bit jocking off a Saw.
Yeah, it was definitely either Diet Saw or Walmart brand Saw.
Yeah. What about your grades?
And to the point, just to wrap up the Saw comparison, to your point of they even did like one of the Saw moves where I think
Right.
it was like Saw 5 or it might have been 6 or 7.
I think it was 3, wasn't it?
No, it was one of the later ones. But
Oh.
it was because it was the what's the forehead? The Megan Good was the in it.
It was the one that I liked where if they would have all worked together,
Yeah,
they would have lived at the end.
but it's very
That
similar. Like that kill, like they
Yeah.
did like a metal chain on the neck and it
And
was pulling him
pulling
in,
him
and
towards
yeah,
the wall.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and it was really disappointing because like the trailer, you get really excited. I mean, Jackie Earl Haley was insane as Rorschach.
Yeah.
I think they wanted to take that magic into A Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 with the reboot as him as
Yeah.
Freddy, and it just didn't translate. Now this isn't quite those roles either, but I was still thinking, man, this is gonna be fucking awesome, and it wasn't. I gave this a C minus for a letter grade. I gave this a 6.5 for a rating by number. Gave this a 3 out of 5 stars, and I said I was also unlikely to watch this anymore or ever again. So, okay, well, now we are going to move on to our next section, which is horror sequels. Now, just to let you guys know in advance, this won't be as long of a category, nor will our next. So, why don't we?
And also, just to let you guys know too, sequels basically means that they're part of a franchise.
Yep.
Not all of them are the second movie.
Right.
So keep that in mind here.
Yep.
This is a way to categorize being part of a franchise
Right.
here.
And also, a lot of people do put reboots and remakes within those franchises, but we still separated those into those categories as well.
And there are several true sequels in this, but
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, why don't you
So-
kick it off with our first sequel that we're going to be talking about here?
All right, so the first one in our sequels is going to be 28 Years Later. Stars Jodie Comer, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Rafe Fiennes, and Jack O'Connell. A group of survivors of the rage virus live on a small island. When a boy and his mother leave the island on a mission into the mainland, he discovers secrets, wonders, and horrors that have mutated not only the infected, but other survivors. What are your grades?
Never was really a big 28 fan.
Neither.
I wasn't into it back. I remember my old roommate friend Ben Norton was really into this franchise. Wasn't ever really into it, but I felt like it was worth talking about, so we actually did watch 28 Days and Weeks Later before this. I really enjoyed Weeks. I liked that one a lot. This one was okay. I gave this one a C minus for a letter grade. I gave this a 5.5 out of 10 for a number ranking. Gave it a 2.5 out of 5 stars, and I said I'm neutral on whether or not I'll watch it again because I am curious on like what happens. I mean, it just sucks because they were a lot of what they did with this is they made you think that it was going to be a legacy sequel to the 28 Days and Weeks, and it kind of was. But what they're really doing is setting up a new second franchise. And so Bone Temple came out this year, and I was really curious to see more of Jack O'Connell, who is Remick in Sinners. Thought he was really cool in the end of it, but
Well, the first 30 seconds he was in it.
yeah, like right. So I mean, it's like
That was off-putting to me.
yeah,
I felt like the moment it started to get like, okay, I want to see more. There's the credits.
yep. I felt like it did that every sequence. It's like because he left his dad and then he got separated from his mom and went with Ray Fiennes, and then there was Remick. It was like honestly 4 chapters. It's like, well, I want to see what happened there, but
Yeah.
there and yeah,
I did like it when Ray Fiennes showed up. I liked his kind of arc. He plays a doctor, and that's the whole reason they went there is trying to find the doctor. Um, but it's like so brief. It's a long build up, a long narrative to get to his very brief. You may as well call it a cameo.
Yeah.
And then at the end, Remick from Center shows up with his group, and it's like, okay, we're finally getting into something, and then boom, it's done.
Yeah.
It's definitely a transition movie. It's definitely setting up for something else. My letter grade here, I gave it a D minus. My rating by number, I gave it a 2.5. My rating by stars was a half, and never watching again. I'm not a big fan of all the 28 movies. It's really hard to keep my attention. Um, this one I think was honestly maybe the best of what I've watched. But again, the moment I started liking it, they took it away.
But does it give you any interest to want to see
The next one?
the Bone Temple?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Which is probably why I didn't give it a full like F and everything.
Yeah.
But I, another thing, again, touch of the tism. The same thing with Poltergeist. How many times can they say Carol Ann?
Yeah.
They kept having to say Spike, his name, over and over and over again. And it just nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah.
All right, next up.
All right, next up we got Black Phone 2, the highly anticipated sequel to the 2022 film Black Phone, starring Ethan Hawke, Mason Thames, and Madeline McGraw. As Finn, now 17 years old, struggling with life after his captivity, his sister begins receiving calls in her dreams from the Black Phone and sees disturbing visions of 3 boys being stalked at a winter camp known as Alpine Lake. Hey, what you got?
Well, the backstory on this is Brandon gets an app. Because the movie theater. Remember the movie? We went to the movies to see this in the theaters. And you thought it was starting at like 7:50.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
And it started at like 7:30.
Yes, we had to wait till like the next show.
But you went to walk in and it was the very first scene. And we could have just gone and seen it. Then he gets the popcorn bucket and we have a recorded like unboxing of the popcorn bucket
At
at
theater,
the theater.
which I still need to do.
Have y'all seen it yet?
No.
So
Anyway.
Brandon gets an F. All right, so we're for Black Phone 2. For the grades, I gave it a B minus. For my number, I gave it a 6. For my stars, I gave it a 3 out of 5. And my replay value was unlikely.
Yeah.
Maybe more neutral. I may give it another chance. I think I've only seen it the one time in theaters. It was okay.
Yeah.
I liked the first one better. I will say the ending was gnarly on the frozen lake.
Yeah.
That was cool. What about you?
This is up there for me. So A+ for letter grade, 10 out of 10 for rating by number, 5 out of 5 stars for star rating, and will watch repeatedly. Now I haven't watched it again yet. Actually, I might watch it this week.
I'd watch it again with you.
But the biggest thing for me on this one, dude, the part for me on this one. Okay, well let me talk about this first. Because I love when they were doing the flashbacks that it made it sound like a phone call, like an old phone call.
Yeah.
But then they also they put a lot of like saturation on the screen to where it looked like you were looking at like an old video. Like that was dope as fuck.
And Ethan Hawke plays the creepy outside of the phone booth really
So
well.
that was my next point. So when Ethan Hawke, I mean, I feel like this was, in my opinion, and I know this is saying a lot because Ethan Hawke has done so many amazing things in his career. This is probably my favorite thing that he's ever done in all of his career. When he was standing outside of the phone booth and he was looking at Mason Thames' character, Finney, and he's like, "You made me kill the person that I love most, and then you killed me and made me forget." Like that was like Oscar level performance in my opinion. I was like, holy shit. Why he's not on the best supporting actor list, I'm like, wow. But I know that the Academy Awards not for horror, but it was so amazing.
I won't spend a lot more time on it. I will just say that for me, what took my attention kind of away and kind of lowered my score was that it's in the middle of like a blizzard, but they're trying to get to work at a church camp, which who would be having church camp during that time of year anyway? That's 1. 2, why would you be doing it still during the blizzard? And then 3, their cabins are all set up with these like space heaters in the wall. So weird choice to have. Doesn't feel realistic enough in this like rustic cabin scenario. These are minor, I get it, they're nitpicks, but to me they just took it away from the storyline of me going and being able to like believe this going on. You also had the revelation of, yes, the sister can like dream and see things from the past, but you find out that like their mother was also gifted. I will say the ending of this was a great wrap up for both movies
Yeah.
between father and children, and the ringing of the phone, and it wasn't for Finn anymore, it was for her. And so I gave it, a decent grade, but it still just wasn't. I like the first one better. And honestly, I feel like the first one could have still stayed by itself.
I'll say a couple things here because I know we need to move on. But
Yeah.
the first thing of it is Scott Derrickson. I want to talk with the director just for a second. He did not want to do the second one, but
Yeah.
Joe Hill, Stephen King's son, who wrote the Black Phone stories and wrote the first Black Phone. He wrote what Scott adapted it from. He came to Scott and said, "Hey, don't hang it up just yet. I've got an idea for a second story. Check this out." Scott heard it. He was like, "That's awesome. I'm doing it." Which I'm actually trying to get Scott on the show because I'm a big fan of his work. Scott Derrickson, if you don't know, he wrote and directed Black Phone. He wrote and directed Sinister. He wrote and directed. There's a few more. There's like 2 other big franchises. I can't remember, but those were 2 of the big ones. But Scott Derrickson is a very like open Christian guy.
Yeah.
Like he did an interview recently with like Relevant Magazine saying, "Yeah, I really feel like it's okay for Christians to like horror because of
Yep.
this and that." But also, it actually thinking about it now, like it kind of makes more sense because when I was in youth group, we went to winter retreats at campgrounds, and so I'm wondering.
Must be more of like a Michigan thing. In Indiana, we didn't do that.
Yeah, we did it, and so I'm wondering if that's where he kind of got that story element from as well, because if he grew up as a Christian, it's one thing I'd love to ask him one day. But
Side note, did you know that Sinister by Science is the scariest movie so far ever made?
I did know that actually.
With the heartbeats and everything?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so moving on then. The Conjuring Last Rites stars Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga. I know I'm not saying that right. Farmiga, Mia Tomlinson. Paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren take on one last terrifying case involving mysterious entities they must confront. Spoiler alert, it's not their last. They're
Well-
still doing another one.
Well, then that one's gonna be a prequel. But I will say this, and I've said this quite a few times: the new one, the case to end all cases. I feel like
Yeah.
they kind of went through more in the second one.
Yeah.
But
But what are your grades?
yeah, I give this a C average for a letter grade. I gave this a 7 out of 10. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars, and I gave this. I'm neutral on it. Like I'll probably watch it again when we would do a Conjuring franchise watch or something. But it's not one that I'm like hurrying to put on the TV. How about you?
Yeah. You're actually a little bit nicer than what I thought you were, because I think I ended up liking it more than you when we first watched it. But my letter grade, I gave it a C. My number, I gave it a 5. My rating by stars, I gave it a 3 out of 5. I put down unlikely as rewatching, but again, like the first 2 were my favorite.
Yeah.
Again, if we did a rewatch, I would. But if I were thinking, oh, I want to watch Conjuring, I would put either on 1 or 2.
Yeah. I have to correct myself. I read that wrong. I read the wrong box. I actually gave it a 6.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Yep. But also, the thing that really bothers me too is McKenna Grace was in Annabelle, and she was younger, and they wanted to age up their daughter. McKenna Grace is an adult now. Like,
She very well could have had like scheduling conflicts because Homegirl's in everything.
yeah, she's a Scream queen now. Scream 7, Five Nights. Yeah.
She just did the romantic one.
Oh yeah, Regretting You.
Yep.
She's doing so much. All right, so next up we've got Final Destination Bloodlines, starring Caitlin Santa-Juana. You got Teo Briones, who his sister is the one that's in the pit that I was telling you about. Richard Harmon, Breck Basinger, and Tony Todd. Final roles. Plagued by a reoccurring violent nightmare, a college student returns home to find the one person who can break the cycle and save her family from the horrific fate that inevitably waits them, which was set in motion in the 1960s. Katie, what do you give this for ratings?
All right. So this is the one where you get to read the plot and I get to give it the great grade. My rating by grade was an A+. My rating by number was a 10. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and I will watch repeatedly. Hands down, my favorite Final Destination.
That's fair.
I loved it.
Yeah.
What about you?
Also, my favorite Final Destination, I think. It was between that and 2. But I gave this an A. I gave this a 9.5. Sorry, I gave this an A for a letter grade. Gave it a 9.5 for a number ranking. Gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars for a star rating. And I said I would also watch it repeatedly. Um, Everything, with that final monologue from Tony Todd, just that the producers let him just say whatever he wanted. Beautiful.
Yep. From the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
Great callbacks to previous movies. The penny is the constant theme. The MRI scene, the trash truck. It coupled great dark humor and Final Destination with this entity of fate coming to get you, and it came full circle at the end. Lovely movie.
You definitely could have given that like old school rating of I loved it, I laughed, I cried, it was hysterical, whatever. You could do that whole thing with it. But anyway,
all right. So next up is Five Nights at Freddy's 2, starring Josh Hutcherson, Piper Rubio, Elizabeth Lale, McKenna Grace, Matthew Lillard, and Skeet Ulrich. 1 year after the supernatural nightmare at Freddy's Fazbear Pizza, Abby runs away to reconnect with her animatronic friends, uncovering dark secrets about the true origins of Freddy's and unleashing a horror hidden for decades. Go ahead with your grade.
all right, man. This one was another one where, the first one kind of sucked, but it's one that our nephew is into, and it's
Definitely in Gen Alpha.
yeah, I mean, okay, but here's the thing. I saw people bitching about this online, and I saw comments saying, well, you're not a kid, it wasn't for you. Okay, but still, if it's still a story, it's still a movie, you gotta make it a good story.
Yeah.
This story made no sense. Everybody's roles, everybody's parts were just so very minute and chopped. Skeet Ulrich got one scene. Matthew Lillard got one scene. I think McKenna Grace got like 1.5 scenes.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything. Like
Yeah.
what did I just watch?
If it was just me, I would DNF this.
Yeah.
I would not have finished if it was just me watching.
Yeah. So I gave this a D minus. I gave this a 2 or D minus for a letter grade. Gave this a 2 out of 10 for a number ranking. I gave it 1 star, and I said I'm never watching it again. The only reason why I gave it anything passing was just because of the actors that were in it and the very short performances that they gave.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest Josh Hutcherson fan, but he still did all right. He's still this weird troubled dad, which he doesn't seem like he's got a life of his own. Like, it's weird. But anyway, what about you?
My letter grade, I gave it an F. My rating, my number, I gave it a 2.5. I think that was kind of being nice. My rating by stars, I gave it a half a star, and never watching again.
Yeah.
I value my time too much.
Yep. Okay. Our next one is I Know What You Did Last Summer, 2025. Now, this is not necessarily a reboot or this is still a sequel because we have legacy characters in this, and it's still in the timeline of I Know What You Did Last Summer. So this is still considered, a sequel. Stars: Madeline Klein, Chase Suey Wonders, Jonah Howard King, Tyreek Withers, Sarah Pigeon, Freddie Prinze Jr., and Jennifer Love Hewitt. My Hollywood number oneer, if you will.
I forgot to say that Patrick Wilson would be my second husband once you go away.
Yeah, true. A group of friends are terrorized by a mysterious killer who knows about a gruesome incident from the past. Katie, what do you rank this?
Another one where I was excited and it was a let down. Rating by letter grade was a D+. My rating by number was a 4.5. My rating by stars was a 2, and I'm unlikely to watch again.
That's fair.
Poorly executed.
Yep.
Sir.
I gave this a C average for a letter grade. I gave it a 7 out of 10 for rating my number. Gave it a 2.5 stars, and I said I was unlikely to watch it again. Now, I got to lament about this one a little bit. I know we're running long, but I need to talk about this. So this one, man, yeah, I'm with you. Highly anticipated. Oh my God, we're going to see these characters again.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't necessarily bother me that they made Freddie Prinze Jr.'s character Ray the killer.
It bothered me.
See, for me, they
did not like that at all.
Yeah, they did. They haven't. Okay, here's the thing. I think a lot of people visualize Freddie over Ray. Freddie plays the nice guy in all the movies, Whereas Ray, if you look back at him in the film,
As Brandy said, good old Ray.
true, but at the same time, like, he has always been kind of distant from them. I'm assuming, and again, I don't like doing this because I don't like to write in stuff. I'm assuming they had a little bit of a rough marriage. It made sense that he was kind of one of the killers, but again, at the same time, it didn't make sense because um, he was so outside of the situation. He was always the guy that came in at the end or whatever.
I don't like that you think that Ray and Julie would have a rough, like, I don't know. Not that I'm trying to like romanticize or make it, unicorns and fairies and everything, but I would like to have thought, the end of I Know What You Did Last, or Still Know What You Did Last Summer, when they're engaged and all of that. I would have liked to have seen this, them be a united front and a married couple.
Yeah,
I feel like it would have made a stronger film.
that's fair. All right. Well, and also too, like, yeah, I don't know. It was more believable that he was the killer, not Stevie, but we can always,
It also had the ick factor of him like having a relationship with like the 20-year-old.
yeah,
Because that was icky.
yeah.
That was icky.
Anyway,
All right, the next one is The Jester 2. Stars Michael Sheffield, Caitlin Trentham, and Jessica Ambule.
yep.
When teen magician Max crosses paths with a sinister jester on Halloween night, she must outsmart a supernatural killer whose magic is all too real and whose tricks always end up in blood. That's a good synopsis. What's your grade?
We watched this and the first one together. First one was badass. I thought that one was actually a lot better. This one did not execute like the first one did, I don't feel. This is very super indie, but still, I don't mind that. They both kind of had that original Terrifier feel, but I liked that the Jester could do tricks and, magics and stuff. That was neat. But ultimately, I gave this a D. Gave it a 4 out of 10. 1.5 stars, and I don't think I'll ever watch this again. I said never watching it again. How about you?
Mine's very similar. I gave this a D as my letter grade. I gave this a 5, and my number rating, I feel like this is a little bit nicer. I put down 3 stars, but you know what? Let's say 2.5. And then never watching again.
Yeah.
It just wasn't good.
Yeah.
Next up.
Next up is one that's personal to my heart. Megan 2.0.
Don't take my grading personal.
I won't.
Okay.
I get it. Stars Allison Williams, Violet McGraw, Amy Donald, Jenna Davis, and Aristotle Athari. 2 years after Megan's rampage, her creator, Gemma, resorts to resurrecting her infamous creation in order to take down Amelia, the military-grade weapon who was built by a defense contractor who stole Megan's underlying tech. All right. Katie, hit me with it. Hurt me with it.
Yet again, I feel like another sequel where I liked the first one better, and this just didn't live up. So my letter grade, I gave it a D minus. My rating by number, gave it a little bit higher, 4. I gave it a 0.5 star out of 5, and never watching again. I understand the amount of work and this was a feat to do. I just didn't feel like it was a sequel to Megan. It was different. It was it is what it is.
Yeah.
What about you?
It's hard for me because I have a little bit of a bias in this one because I got to visit the set when I was over in New Zealand. This was one set that I actually did go to. My good buddy Mike Edward invited my friend Tom and I on set. We had a blast. We got to pretty much see that entire third act fight.
But if you got to be
Yeah.
just on the film.
Yep, just on the film alone. Again, I like Megan. Obviously, I went for the doll. I got the popcorn buckets to this one just because it was an experience for me. It's hard for me to be not biased on this, so I will blame this on my bias. It's okay. But I gave it a B plus. I didn't give it a crazy A plus or anything. I do still feel like it was B worthy. Gave it an 8.5 out of 10. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And I said that I'll rewatch it repeatedly because, again, this is one where I feel like if it's not critically acclaimed, but it could be one that I could just throw on while I want to relax or just have a memory. Or, when that third act comes on, I can go back in my mind of, holy shit, this is a warehouse. But then when I look forward, I'm in a movie. You know what I mean? That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I put the never watch again, but To me, if I were to think, oh, I'm in the mood to watch Megan, I'm putting on the first one.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm not putting on the second one.
Yeah, I'd probably watch both of them, honestly.
Yeah.
But, all right, Katie, what's next?
Next up is Predator Badlands, starring Elle Fanning, Demetrius. Oh my gosh, I can't say that.
I'll try it. Demetrius Schuster hyphen Col something. Schuster K.
Yep. Look that up if you would like to know. Or
He played Deck, a 3-letter name on the movie.
Yep. Ravi Narayan.
Yeah.
A young predator outcast from his clan, known as the
Yautja.
There you go. Finds an unlikely ally on his journey in search of the ultimate adversary.
Yeah.
What is your grade, sir?
Yeah. When it comes to Alien and Predator, I'm not a massive crazy fan of
Me
Alien.
either, honestly.
Now, Predator, I've come to like a little bit more. Alien, just, I don't know what, it just won't stick with me. I can't do it. But Predator, I don't mind it. This one, I gave it a B+ for a letter grade. I gave it a 9 out of 10 for rating. Gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And I said I'm likely to watch this again. I liked this one as much as this felt like Disney's Predator. And the reason why I say that is in the past, the Predators have always been by themselves. This one, Deck finds like a little merry whatever of bandits. He finds half of Elle Fanning and he finds a little creature dude and they kind of become buddies. And it's not supposed to be enjoyable like that, but it made the movie for me. So I didn't mind it. What do you think?
I am not a big Alien nor Predator fan, in all honesty. I honestly kind of maybe lean a little bit more towards Alien than Predator.
Okay.
I liked Romulus the best of all Alien. But with this, I gave it an F as my letter grade. I give it a 3 as my rating by number. I gave it 1 star and never watching again. It honestly wouldn't be something I would choose to watch if I weren't married to you.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. But I did give it a shot and a try. I felt like the story was a little bit lacking. But I will say this. I feel like all of Alien and Predator movies rely on the action, right?
Yeah.
Versus a solid plot.
Now you passed out in the car, but we watched on the way back from Michigan on an iPad. We watched we got around to watching Alien vs Predator Requiem. That movie was actually pretty good. Like people will probably disagree with me, like what? But I liked it. Yeah. All right, so next up we have the Strangers Chapter 2. We've got stars Madeline Petch, Gabriel Abasso, and Emma Horvath. Left stranded in a small town with no way out, Maya must once again face a night of terror, courtesy of 3 deadly killers whose rampage she must put to an end. Katie, what do you rank this?
Again, not trying to spend too much time on this, but just to give a little bit of a backstory, I love the Liv Tyler version. I know that a lot of people don't like The Strangers Chapter 1 in this franchise. I personally do like it. I've watched it a couple times. It's different. I prefer the Liv Tyler version. It's got a little bit of difference to it, but I still like it. When it comes to Chapter 2, it fell flat for me. My letter grade, I gave it a D+. My number was a 4. My rating by stars was 1.5, and I'm unlikely to watch it again.
Yeah.
Halloween 2 is it was my favorite in the entire Halloween, and I liked the concept of her like waking up in the hospital, feeling like Halloween 2, but it didn't.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Now, one you're failing to mention is Pray at Night. I really liked Pray at Night. It's the second Strangers before Chapter 1. Loved that one too. We're in the trailer park. But that was a good one.
You know what? Honestly, I keep forgetting that it even exists.
Yeah. The first 2 were great. I was not crazy about Strangers Chapter 1. That one might be one that I was like, we'll see. So what I will say is I feel, again, I've said this since the beginning, I feel like I cannot give this a fair enough grade until I've seen all 3. And I very much feel like I feel a little bit more validated now because I've heard that they showed a 4-hour and 19-minute cut of all 3 of them together in LA about 2 weeks ago, and that did very well.
Yeah.
So it's potentially it could be just because it sucks because it's not.
This is definitely a pathway to the third type of thing.
And I am glad that we don't have to wait till October like we did last time with it. That's coming out in 2 weeks. I'm looking forward to seeing it. and seeing how they land this ship of a ship.
Yeah.
But for my grades, I gave this a D minus as a letter grade. I gave this a 3 out of 10 for a star number ranking, and I gave this 1.5 stars. And I'm neutral on whether or not I watch it because you know what, might do the far cut, might do it again, but this one was garbage. The scene with the boar made no
I
sense.
literally laughed.
Yeah.
I literally laughed in the theater because I don't know, part of my personality is I giggle at the things like not expected.
Yeah.
Like we saw Night Patrol not too long ago, and there's a scene where the spoilers, so fast forward if you don't hear it. There's a scene where the main character is like, I don't believe in any of this. And then like half a second later, he's walking out in like the full like Zulu outfit because he's believing in it. And I just had to giggle at that too. Cause I'm like, you just said he didn't believe in it.
Yeah.
So anyway, the boar thing, I literally laughed too loud.
Yep.
I'm in the theater with that. All right. So next up is VHS Halloween. Stars David Hayden, Anna McKelvey, Adam James Johnston. A collection of Halloween-themed videotapes unleashes a series of twisted, blood-soaked tales, turning trick-or-treat into a struggle for survival. That literally could be any of the VHS.
Yeah.
What did you give it for grades?
I will be honest with you. I went into this knowing, I think, that it was trash, but I still went for it anyway. This isn't necessarily a sequel, but it's just the next one in this anthology. VHS's films are anthology movies, so it's like, a bunch of small segments, but with an overlying story. But a lot of times I'm interested in the overlying story that, like where they're finding the tapes and
Yeah.
there's other shit going
I
on.
didn't have it. I even noted it.
It did. It was the guys in the lab giving the kids the soda.
But yes, but so in the previous VHSs, it's like, oh, look, we found a VHS tape. I'm putting it in what's on it. And then that's how you get your like anthology. This had the reoccurring, like this was coming back on the film.
Yeah.
But you don't know who's playing the film.
Right. Yeah. That's a good point. But yeah, originally I had this as completely failing, but that last segment I was really into. The rest of them sucked. We even fast forwarded through one of them because we just didn't want to read the Spanish, and not to be haters on Spanish.
It was too fast.
Yeah, it was too much, and yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead. I gave this a D minus for a letter grade. I gave it a 2 out of 10 for a number ranking, 1 star out of 5 for rating by stars, and then I said I will never watch this again.
I gave it the absolute lowest rating in all categories possible. I gave this an F as my letter grade, A1 as my rating by number. I'd give it a 0 if I could, and my rating by stars 0 as well, and never watching again. I made a note here that gore porn, gross without a real story.
Yeah.
I typically am not one to get physically feeling ill in a movie. I can handle my gore.
Yeah.
But this got to a point where you're not entertaining. You're just trying to make something visceral and make your audience want to puke.
Yep.
There's horror and then there's that.
Yeah.
And it's one of the reasons why I stopped listening to Sword and Scale podcast, because it was just a way that you're being sadistic with your audience. Not for me.
Yeah.
All right, next up.
All right, so that concludes our horror sequels category. We are moving on to horror reboots, remakes, and retellings. This is our last category before we get into our overall rankings. Our first reboot, remake, retelling. You guys might fight us on this one, but it's our show. We don't care. And the original was a horror movie, so this one counts. It's still technically somewhat in the franchise. It's one of those real movies.
There's suspense. There's threat.
There is, and I did jump once in the theater for maybe twice. Anaconda 2025 is our first for the horror reboots, remakes, retellings. This one stars Jack Black, Paul Rudd, Steve Zahn, Tyndway Newton, Daniela Melchior, and we get a surprise appearance from Ice Cube with a small cameo from J-Lo in the credits. A group of friends are going through a midlife crisis. They decide to remake a favorite movie from their youth, but encounter unexpected events when they enter the jungle. So Anaconda is not, this is not a reboot to Anaconda necessarily. it is a movie about a reboot to Anaconda. So it's kind of
Right.
like that meta shit is what they call it. All right, but you know what? I love this movie so much. I gave it an A. Gave it a 9. Sorry, gave it an A for letter grade. Gave it a 9 out of 10 for a rating by number. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I said this is one that I could throw on anytime. We'll watch repeatedly. How about you?
Well, this may be a bigger delta between the two of us here. My rating by letter grade was a C minus.
What? You laughed and loved it. I'm
My
surprised.
my rating by number was a 4. My rating by stars was a 1.5, and I'm unlikely to watch it again.
I don't know who I watched this movie with because I remember we walked out of that theater like, I loved it. It was great.
I love Jack Black. I love Jack Black. I love Paul Rudd. I love their other movies more so.
Yeah.
And I love Steve Zahn. But he's a close second to be my second husband.
Yeah.
Steve Zahn.
He's on your top 5.
He's on my card and it's laminated.
Yeah.
Patrick Wilson, Steve Zahn. The reason why I gave it a little bit lower of a grade, I did laugh. I did like it. It did have some twists and turns to it. I will say I'm looking at this through a horror rating.
Mm-hmm.
And if I were giving it a comedy rating, I might be a little bit nicer with it. But the horror side of it, I wish there was just maybe a little bit more. And I don't really know what the little bit more is that I want.
Yeah.
But I just wanted something a little bit more. The like main character female that's like running from the law, you don't really know why she's doing what she's doing, and there's seriousness side of the story, and then there's the comedy side of the story.
Yeah.
It's entertaining. I put unlikely because I probably will at some point, but it wouldn't be something that would come to mind
Right.
to put on all the time.
Yeah. It's funny because what I will say what I loved about this was, and this I felt like showed how good of an actor both Jack Black and Steve Zahn are, because Steve Zahn and Jack Black, they were both in Saving Silverman together back in the day. I want to say it was like late 90s. And in that film, Steve Zahn, how in Dumb and Dumber, Jeff Daniels is the dumb and Carrie's the dumber.
Yeah.
Whereas Jeff Daniels is kind of like the dumb smart one. He's still
Right.
he's still kind of smart. Like he can read and write. But Jim Carrey couldn't.
Annual.
Yeah. So what I like about both of these actors, Steve Zahn and Jack Black, is in Saving Silverman, Steve Zahn is kind of the smart dumb guy, and Jack Black is the dumb guy.
Yeah.
And in this one, they make Jack Black the smart dumb guy, and then they make Steve Zahn the really dumb drugged up guy. And
I will say I laughed way too much at a part that you didn't catch. Was Steve Zahn is like a drug, or he was supposed to be like recovering drug addict.
Yeah.
But he relapses on this trip. And at one point, they're like, "You're high," and he's like, "Don't worry, man. I think I peaked." That was great. That was something that I would quote later on.
Yeah.
I did. I laughed a lot with it for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. Next up in this category of reboots, remakes, and retellings is the movie Bambi: The Reckoning.
Yes.
Stars Roxanne McKee, Samara Mighty, and Nicola Wright.
Yeah.
After a mother and a son get in a car wreck, they soon become hunted by Bambi, a mutated grief-stricken deer on a deadly rampage, seeking revenge for the death of his mother.
Yeah.
What's your grades?
I gotta say, this one I was expecting to suck because Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, and Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare both kind of sucked. I was pleasantly surprised by this one. It was the best one so far in the Pooniverse is what they're calling it, the Twisted Child universe. It's the best one so far in my opinion. I give this one a B- for a letter grade. I gave this a 7 out of 10 for rating my number. I gave this 2.5 out of 5 stars for a star rating, and I said I'm neutral on whether or not I'll watch it because I'll might watch it again when because they're putting out the Unstrung or whatever, the Pinocchio one, and then they're doing like the big Avengers one in the fall this year, or it's supposed to be anyway. So it's maybe. But how about you?
By letter grade, I gave this a C plus. By number, I gave it a 5. Rating by stars, I gave it a 2.5. And I did put down not watching again. I have to be candid. I fell asleep during this. I will say of those retellings that you talked about, it it was kind of the best. But that still doesn't make it good. I liked certain things about it, but I will say this: I was exhausted after work, and we're having a nice snowstorm. I got warm under the covers. I was out, and when I came to, I still feel like I didn't miss a ton. But yeah, all right. So
So our next one is the Academy Award nominated Frankenstein 2025. This is the Guillermo del Toro version of Frankenstein. This stars Oscar Isaac, Jacob Elordi, and Christopher Waltz. Guillermo del Toro adapts Mary Shelley's classic tale of Victor Frankenstein, a brilliant but egotistical scientist who brings a creature to life in a monstrous experiment that ultimately leads to the undoing of both the creator and his tragic creation. Now, Katie, what do you give these for grades?
um, so for my letter grade, I gave this a D plus. For my numbers, I gave it a 4. My rating by stars, I gave it a 1.5, and I put I'm not watching again.
Okay.
Again, aesthetically, great.
Yes.
Story.
Yeah.
What about you?
You know, it was weird because, like I was really trying with this one.
Yeah.
And it's nominated for Best Picture, which I do not think it deserves to
No.
win. However, it is also nominated for Best, like, set or whatever.
That I could see.
And I do think it deserves to win
Yes.
because it might all be CGI, but it is beautiful. I feel like the aesthetics of it, just the setting is so amazing.
It was reminiscent to like the way in Nosferatu
Yeah.
to me, where like the storyline you could literally make a paragraph and have the entire story.
Yeah.
But it was all this time spent with the set design.
Yeah. But
some people love that.
the way that the film went, though, it was really weird. They tried to show you the view from Victor Frankenstein's viewpoint, and then they showed you the monster's viewpoint. And I really felt like they spent too much time on Oscar Isaac's Victor Frankenstein,
Yeah.
as opposed to
Yeah.
But I thought Elordi did a really good job as Frankenstein. I could see that Frankenstein being in the Mummy universe with with our Mummy from like was a kid, with Brendan
Yeah.
Fraser. I could see him being in that universe.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I gave this movie a C plus for rating letter grade. I gave this a 7.5 out of 10. I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars, and I said that I'm unlikely to watch this again. Might watch it again for like the Oscar stuff, or for if they put it in the Universal Monsters universe, but no desire to really watch it again.
Yeah. Next up is Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare.
Yeah.
Stars Megan Placido, Martin Portlock, and Kit Green. Wendy Darling strikes out in an attempt to rescue her brother Michael from the, quote, clutches of the evil Peter Pan. Along the way, she meets Tinkerbell, who has been seen taking heroin, believing that it's pixie dust. What do you say to this one?
I say this movie was trash. But I mean, it was okay. Okay, here's the thing. It was really shitty, like the way they did Peter Pan. Like, come on, man. You could have just, like, they basically made a druggy slasher movie out of Peter Pan names.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't really do much with the fantasy of Peter Pan.
Yeah, you could have named them other names, and it wouldn't be Peter Pan.
Yeah. But it was an okay slasher. Like, if you take that out of it, it's all right. As far as my letter grade goes, I give this a C minus. For my rating by number, I give this a 6.5 out of 10. I give this 2 out of 5 stars, and I said I'm pretty much unlikely to watch it again. Same with Bambi. I would probably just watch it for the franchise stuff. Other than that, nah.
Yeah, I was pretty close to you. My letter grade was also a C minus. My number, I gave it a 5. My rating by stars was a 2, and never watching again. Once you've seen it, you know what it is. You don't need to see it again.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got one that's similar, but not in the Twisted Child universe. Popeye the Slayer Man stars Scott Swope, Jason Robert Stevens, and Angelica Reluccio. A curious group of friends sneak into an abandoned spinach canning factory to investigate the legend of the Sailor Man, who is said to haunt the factory and local docks. Katie, what'd you think of this movie?
I gave it an F in my letter grade.
Okay.
I gave it a 2 in my number rating. I gave it a 0 stars and never watching again.
I'm a little surprised because I kind of remember you liking it a little bit more when we watched it. It's forgettable, but
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I went ahead and went lower, because I was trying when I was filling this out. I was trying to remember, was there something in there that I liked? And I couldn't remember.
yeah.
And I just remember there's like one scene where he's like in the shadows, and I just remember thinking like, let's just get on with it.
Yeah.
What about you? What are your grades?
So I gave this a C minus. It wasn't great, but I was thinking, I was like, well, this would be a better one for the Twisted Child universe if they're going to do
Yeah.
that. I gave it a 3 out of 10 for number ranking. I gave it a 1.5 stars for star rating, and I said I was unlikely to ever watch this again. All right, so next,
In the same realm here, we have Scream Boat. Stars David Howard Thornton, Tyler Posey, and Joe DeRosa. On the last ferry of the night in New York, passengers and crews are hunted by a merciless rat, and what should have been a peaceful crossing turns into a deadly, bloody massacre.
mhm.
Which grade?
I remember this one you fell asleep during as well. There's not.
Theme.
Yeah, I gave this one a D. Now, for a letter grade, I gave it a D. I gave it a 3 out of 10 for rating by number. I gave this a 1.5 stars, and I said I'm unlikely to watch this again. They are making a second one, which, but it's unfortunate because I really enjoyed Terrifier, really enjoyed Stream.
Mhm.
I was expecting to enjoy this because David Howard Thornton's playing, the mouse. But I just didn't like it. Now, it was really funny when he cuts that dude's dick off. I laughed at that. I'm happy that it happened because it caused them to meet Brian Quinn and Brian Quinn from Impractical Jokers and Tell 'Em Steve Dave. He and his buddy wrote Stream 2, which I love Stream. So how about you? What'd you think?
So I gave this an F.
Mhm.
That's my letter grade. I gave it a 2 as my rating by number strictly for David Howard Thornton.
Yeah.
I remember laughing at a couple of things that he did, but other than that, no. And I gave it a 0 on my stars and never watching again.
Yep.
I think even if you told me I had to for any kind of rewatch, I'd probably take a nap then too.
All right.
Next up.
Next up, we have Silent Night, Deadly Night 2025. This one stars Rowan Campbell, Ruby Modine, and Mark Atchison. After seeing his parents killed by someone dressed as Santa, a grown man later wears a Santa suit himself and seeks violent revenge. Katie, what'd you give this?
I gave this a B minus as my letter grade. I gave this a 5.5 on my rating by number. I gave this 2.5 stars, and I said it was unlikely, but I'm kind of leaning more towards neutral. The more that I think about it, in the Silent Night, Deadly Nights, it was the best that I've watched of these. I don't like. I think this was another one of those movies where it is letters on the screen, and I don't get why that's a new fad. I don't like it. It takes me out of the experience when you're in that world and you're believing, okay, he can hear the guy talking in his head, da da da, and then you do that. It's like, oh, stop it.
Yeah.
Eh, no one has really done that seamlessly. It's not a good thing. Anyway, what about you? What did you grade
Well,
this?
To kind of piggyback off what you said, I understand your dislike for that. I don't mind the titles because they're telling a story. That's fine with me. If they chapter it like that. I don't like it when they do texting, like when the
Yeah.
whoop thing. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't need no.
Mhm.
But maybe that's just my millennial timelessness
Yeah.
speaking, but I don't know. I really like this one. When I saw that Rowan Campbell was cast as this character, I was like, ooh, he did what he could in Halloween Ends. That movie sucked as a whole, but I liked him. I was like, wow, he could play a psychopath in something else, and I thought he would be really good for this role. Now, he played more of a vigilante good guy in this one.
Mhm.
I still would really like to see him play a psychopath in something else because I do feel like he could play a good crazy. But I liked the direction they took with it. I liked the Venom voice, like they did with
Yep.
the previous Santa or whatever. So ultimately, I gave this an A minus. I gave this for a letter grade. I gave this an 8.5 out of 10 for a rating by number. I gave it a 4 stars out of 5 for star rating, and I gave it. I said I'd likely watch it again. I probably will watch this around Christmas.
Honestly, if I watched it again, I may end up liking it a little bit better. Um, but yeah. All right. The last horror reboot, remake, or retelling is Wolfman, starring Christopher Abbott, Julia Garner, and Matilda Firth. A family at a remote farmhouse is attacked by an unseen animal. But as the night stretches on, the father begins to transform into something unrecognizable.
Yep. This was another one where I was kind of had anticipatory thoughts that just were really disappointing, especially from Lee Wanell. Lee Wanell was one of the original creators of Saw. He created or he at least directed and wrote Insidious 3. I can't remember if he was in charge of writing the whole thing or not. But he also did Invisible Man. And it looked like for a little while there that it's like, okay, that's a really good Invisible Man. We've got a decent Frankenstein. We've got the Mummy. How are we going to make this a big Universal Monsters universe type of thing? This Wolfman was not it. It was really bad. And I'm sorry to say, but it just was. So I gave this a D. Julie Garner did pretty well on this one. Had a killer year last year. Holy shit! Between this, Weapons, and Silver Surfer, and Fantastic Four First Steps. Anyway, sorry. I give this a D for a letter grade. I give this a 4.5 out of 10 for a ranking a number, and I give it a 1.5 stars. And I said I'm unlikely to watch it again. How about you?
So I also gave it a D as my letter grade, but I gave it a 3 out of 10 on my numbers. I gave it a half of a star and not watching this one again.
Yep. Fair. All right, guys, we are at the end of this. We are now ready to kind of give our final rankings for the year. We really appreciate you sticking with us on this long episode, but gotta know, Katie. All right, so let's start with what were your 2 biggest disappointments for this year for movies, for horror movies?
Well, the first one is probably not a shocker. If you've listened to our whole episode, you'll know that we did not finish it. Hell of a Summer. I was just like, oh, you know, he's directing and whatever. It might be good. No. My second one with that was I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Okay.
Just simply because I was like, yeah, like those were 2 movies that I loved in my childhood. Was expecting better.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, I think I looked at it a little bit differently. Yes, I was very disappointed by I Know What You Did Last Summer, but I went into it knowing I was going to be disappointed because I wasn't crazy about the cast, and the trailer just did not do anything for the movie. Having said that, my 2 biggest disappointments for the year were Good Boy. That was just the trailer made it so interesting. Didn't give you a lot. I was just like, wow, this looks really good. Babe,
Yep.
we got to go see this. And you were even like, they're not going to, I hope they don't hurt the dog. I'm like, I don't think they're going to hurt the dog. But we thought it was going to be something, and it wasn't. Second biggest disappointment for the year was Fear Street Prom Queen. After how great R.L. Stein's original Goosebumps series was, and how great the trilogy for Fear Street, it's like, oh my gosh, we're getting adults R.L. Stein. This is going to be awesome. And it wasn't. It was so bad.
Yeah.
Okay. So what 2 movies gave you the biggest surprise that you didn't, and like you didn't expect to enjoy it as much as you did? Give me your 2.
So I actually did 1 movie and 1 TV show.
Okay.
Since we did rate those in our end of the year. So Dangerous Animals. We saw the preview and I was like, okay, yeah, interesting concept. Was not expecting to be blown away the way that I was with that.
Yep.
It's definitely like a sleeper movie where it's like you may be like, oh, okay, cool concept, whatever, throw it on. Holy crap, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was I didn't expect to like it. Welcome to Derry.
Okay.
Again, I almost bottomed out. I almost said, no, this is you. Finish it without me. But definitely redeemed itself.
Yeah.
What about you? What are your 2?
So, and you know me, I like my chick flicks. I like, ones, even ones that you don't like. I like Definitely Maybe. You don't like that one. So I've never minded a chick flick romantic, whatever, and I maybe I'm being whatever, gender, whatever, but I'm just, it's what we call them in our day.
Chauvinist.
Right, there it is. But I gotta say, man, The Housemaid. I kind of expected it as like, all right, well, you know what? I'll be a good husband. I'll go with her to this one, man, whatever. Did not expect it to be so damn good to the point where I was like, this is a horror movie. Like, I don't care what you say. This is horror. The second one was Silent Night, Deadly Night, 2025. The first one was good. Second one, eh. Third, fourth, garbage. Probably the fourth one is probably the worst horror movie I've ever seen.
I didn't even watch the third and the fourth.
You didn't. They were garbage, and you didn't watch the fifth one either. The fifth one was a little better. That had Mickey Rooney in it. That was fun. And the 2012 reboot was great, but this one was like, yeah, the first one, 2012 reboot, and this one, the 2025, are the only three worth watching, to be honest. So I was really, really surprised by that. So hey, what was your favorite sequel for the year?
Hands down, Final Destination Bloodlines.
Okay.
Blown away by that one.
Yep.
What about you?
Mine is Black Phone 2. I'm not hiding it. For me, it worked. I love everything from how the characters had to kind of go through their own journeys. I love the popcorn bucket. I love everything about it. Now, Katie, what was your favorite reboot, remake, or retelling?
So this may sound interesting, but I actually went through and looked at my grades to kind of make this decision. And even though I didn't give it the highest of grades, it seems like the reboots, remakes, retellings are just not my cup of tea. I did not rate any of them really well. So for this, the highest score I gave was for Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Okay.
And looking back, that's spot on.
Yeah.
In that category, that's the only one that I might watch again.
That's fair. Mine was also Silent Night, Deadly Night, 2025. I know I said it twice, but it just was the best one out of all of them. So, All right, Katie. So do your best, but okay. So think about all the movies you watched this year, and we're gonna do a top 5 here. We're gonna give our top 5 favorites. But I want to know your 3 honorable mentions. Now, these are ones that, well, give me a third maybe after this, but try a third. Yeah. So I'll give my honorable mentions first. These are ones that I would say were in your top 5 throughout the year, but then something bumped it out or something. You know what I mean? So
okay, I got it.
So
So
I'll go first for it. So my first honorable mention is Dangerous Animals. This was hanging out in my top 5 for probably most of the year. Same with Death of a Unicorn. I really love Death of a Unicorn. That was up there for a while. And then The Housemaid knocked this out of the top 5, or otherwise it would have been in the top 5. Companion. That was an honorable mention for me. How about you?
So my first honorable mention is the same, Dangerous Animals. It was up there until the other ones were watched later on in the year. Next, which is interesting because both of these could be seen as gateway horror or more of a thriller. But I did Clown in a Cornfield and Drop. I loved both of those for what they were. Not a gore fest, but suspenseful, intriguing. You want to know what happens next. You want to know if they're going to make it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. So here we go, guys. These are our top 5 rankings for the year. These were our favorite horror movies for the year. This is including everything. This is sequels, reboots, remakes, new ones. Let's go line for line. Let's go number 5. What's yours?
Number 5 for me is The Long Walk.
Okay. Number 5 for me is Clown in a Cornfield.
Okay.
All right.
Number 4, Final Destination Bloodlines.
Okay. That's fair. Number 4 for me was The Housemaid. I love that movie. That was great.
Number 3 for me is The Housemaid.
Okay. That's fair. Number 3 for me is Black Phone 2. I love Black Phone 2. And what's your number 2?
Number 2 is Weapons.
Number 2 is also, for me, Weapons. And do we want to say number 1 at the same time? Do we have the same?
Do we have the same?
I think so. Let's do it. Let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Sinners. We love Sinners around this house. So much so that the other day when they put out the re-release for the IMAX showing for the Oscars, they put out a limited edition popcorn bucket. It is a guitar case tin. They only put them in one theater in Indianapolis, and that was about an hour and 15 minutes from here. And they only had 6 of them, and I had to, of course, being the Brandon that I am, had to get the Sinners popcorn bucket. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, not the best popcorn bucket I've ever seen, but you know what? There isn't a lot of Sinners merchandise out there, and I just think this is so cool. It's got the logo on the side, got a little thing on the back. You can hang on the wall if you want, but
To critique it, I wish that they kind of would have made it like an old leather look
yeah, well,
versus this look.
yeah,
But still,
yeah, and it kind of there's like you can barely see it, but if you look in the edge, there's little stitching like it's a leather
yeah,
case.
that little bit, yeah. To me, the blue,
Yeah,
they should not have done the blue. I like the centers down the side. I wish that this was kind of more of a brown leathered, weathered,
yeah,
what looks like what Sam would have been carrying
right.
at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, I do
And
like the
it's
blue.
a little noisy.
It is. All right, guys. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for us here at the
That
couple
was
that's
2025.
yeah. It's gonna wrap it up for this episode. Now, to give you a little bit of a preview, we have decided to change things up a little bit for 2026. Rather than doing just episode or review, we're still gonna be doing our interviews, our unboxing videos, and our mini-episodes. But for our main review episodes, we're going to be doing a little bit more of an abbreviated version. It doesn't help that this is almost a 3-hour episode, but we're going to be, instead of reading through an entire like plot summary scene by scene or whatever, we're just going to basically give like 3 points of what we liked about it and what we disliked. We'll still do the rankings. We'll still do the subgenres, who wrote and directed it, who was the cast.
We're still going to give you all our opinions.
Yep. We're just going to shorten up the middle of it. So all that to say, my love, my dear, I'm so happy to be doing the show with you, as frustrating as it can be. I love you so much, and I'm so glad that we started this in 2025, and I'm looking forward to 2026.
Yeah. Here's to our first anniversary.
Yeah.
It went from a concept to, or let's say this, it started as a slight discussion
Yep.
because of what we do after watching movies. Kind of was like, yeah, that might be fun. To a concept to what you see here.
Yeah.
And mad props to my husband. He does produce, direct, edit, everything. He's done everything that you see back here. He's put a lot of heart and soul into this. I just show up and tell you what I like and what I don't like.
Which is fine. So,
But we have a lot of fun. We hope
We
you
do.
have a lot of fun. Thank you all for being there with all of the episodes from 2025. We look forward to 2026 getting you even more. Make sure that you're liking, subscribing, sharing all these free things that help build our community. I'm sure that Brandon will put socials
here's our
right here.
socials right here. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, check us out on our podcast feed, our RSS feed. Several other things. And last but not least, today TikTok. Yep. And you can always send us an email at thecouplethatslays@gmail.com if you have a request, demand, problem, anything, hit us up. And the last thing I want to say is yesterday was Katie's birthday, the 28th, and happy birthday, Katie.
Thank you very much.
And today is my dad's birthday, the 29th, so I want to say happy birthday, Dad. Hey, man, from the Couple That Slays Together, I'm Brandon.
I'm Katie, and we hope you enjoyed your 2025 horror.
Take care.
We're the couple that slays together.